Islam, Islam. Islam, Islam. Today is April 3rd, 2022. Want to welcome everyone to another Egyptian Adeptus research team, assaulting the class, sponsored by our Moorish American government. Islam, Grand Man, are you there? Dr. Bati Bey. If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Islam, Islam, Islam. How you feeling, Grand Man?
Man, we just as Morris as ever, and headed back east, my man. We got a nice hike, but it's all good.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm coming out of picked up yesterday in Las Vegas, and now headed back to Raleigh, North Carolina, and so I'm going through these mountains. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and make you the host once everybody come in, because I got about maybe like 50 miles till I get to 40. And so when I get to 40, I got to go through Flagstaff. So a lot of mountains, you know what I mean? So it's all good. Yeah.
I'm aware of that Virginia area. I was my niece graduated in like 2018. And so we had to drive from Iowa all the way to VA. And
VA.
I'm talking about them trucks was moving down the mountain.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I'm in Nevada. I'm in Nevada though.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying that moving down the mountainside. I know you're coming out of the mountains out of Nevada, but the mountains out of in VA.
Yeah, VA. They be moving, man.
Man, like they ain't got the care in the world. I was like, man, it's like.
Oh yeah, but the best way to go down the mountain is with a trailer. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, because I get in there sometime when I got a load with a tractor. I guess a tractor and trailer that I'm delivering. But when it's windy, I can't roll like that because it's empty. You know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, oh yeah. Islam, family tribe of endurance, Islam.
Islam, Moorish Ken, gratitude.
Islam.
Gratitude for yesterday evening for all the assistance.
Oh yeah. Islam, that's what we do. Swift angels, Islam.
Praise the Lord.
All day long.
Islam, Dr. Bati Bey.
Islam, Grand Secretary of State. Peace and love.
Gratitude. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Yes, indeed. So yeah, we got 3 minutes, Dr. Bati Bey. Yeah, are you able to see? I can make you the host so you can see more as they come in. You want me to be stationed there for a minute to get everybody in and then give it over to you while you open up the way?
I mean, I could probably do it because once we get a few more in, I can put something to do some of the reading and the divine constitution. That way I can bring them in too. But if not, I could take the blunt of it. It don't matter. All
right. Well, what I do is I hold tight. And if like I said, we have 3 minutes. And,
I got it if you got to get on the road.
Well, I mean, I'm rolling, but I can hold up for a minute. I want to make some trail today. You know what I mean? I got a long one all the way back to the East Coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I can hold, like I said, I got 3 minutes because I'm 3 hours behind right now. So as I get closer, East Coast, I start picking up, 2 hours, behind, you know what I mean? So-called behind. Yeah. So I'm just trying to make this headway so I can get on back. But yeah, I can hold on. We got 2 minutes if need be. I can do the Constitution or I can do read the chapter of the week, whatever.
Yeah. I'll wait for some of the other Moors to come in. If not, like I said, I'll just do it because you are on the road, man, and that's I know y'all got time limits and things like that. So.
Oh yeah, man. We got about 2,500 miles, man. We gonna knock out. We're gonna knock it out. With gratitude for all that you do, Grand Man, and peace and love.
Peace and love.
All right. We got Swift Angel number 4 on the manifest.
Islam, Grand Man.
Let me set the security up. Islam. Set the security up, share screen, all this stuff is there. All right, Dr. Bati Bey, I'm making you the host.
All right.
Boom. All right. Matter of fact, the Zoom already know who you is. All right.
Islam.
All right, I'm standing by. I have my lap. I got apparatus beside me and everything. I can hear everything. So I'm here. Islam, I'm rolling.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam, time never was. First, my name is Dr. Bati Bey with the Iowa Territory. I'd like to rise, give our man of praises to Allah, honors to the Prophet, honors to our theocratic government, royal council, flag, seal, emblem, our divine constitution, our swift angels, mufti, citizens alike, honors to all the Moors that are here, all the Moors that will be. And I will open up with the comedian Adep Moorish American prayer. Ya Allah Amnu Haru, Makunetaru. Ya Allah Abhet Heru. Ya Allah Ma'at Heru. Ya Allah Hotep Heru. Ya Allah Haru. Ya Allah Ma'at Heru Kuti. Ya Allah Awajeje Juti. Ya Allah Pertim Sutek Pertim Haru. Ya Allah Bamaduti. Al Hedisep Sisere Abtu Ali. Amen. Alisa, Alisa, Alisa. That is to say, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice, O Allah, you are my protector, O Allah, you are my guide, O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day through, O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, Drew Ali, Ameen. Holy Isa, Holy Isa, Holy Isa. And with that, start reading the divine constitution and bylaws. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on the Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah's love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep an eye with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious, become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God, Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And with that being said, chapter 14, Yehoshua spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. Benares is a sacred city of the Brahms. Yehoshua taught Udraka was his host. Udraka made a feast in honor of the guests, and many high-born Hindu priests and scribes were there. And Yehoshua said to them with much delight, I speak to you concerning life, the brotherhood of life. The universal Allah is one, yet he is more than one. All things are one. By the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. So if you touch a fiber of a living thing, you send a thrill from the center to the outer bounds of life. And when you crush beneath your foot the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. The bird sings out its song for men, and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. The ant constructs its home, the bee its sheltering comb. The spider weaves her web, and flowers breathe to them a spirit in their sweet perfume that gives them strength to toil. Now men and bird and beast and creepy things are deities made flesh, and how dare you kill anything? It is cruelty that makes the world awry. When men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves. They surely will not kill, nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. A lawyer said, I pray you, Yehoshua, tell who is this Allah you speak about? Where are his priests, his temples, and his shrines? And Yehoshua said, the Allah I speak about is everywhere. He cannot be compassed with walls, nor hedged about with bounds of any kind. All people worship Allah, the one, but all the people see him not alike. The universal Allah is wisdom, will, and love. All men see not the triune Allah. One sees him as Allah of might, another as Allah of thought, another as Allah of love. A man ideal is his God, and so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man God today, tomorrow is not his God. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view, and so he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names a part of Allah he sees, and this to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. You Brahmins call him Parable. In Egypt, he is thought, and Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name. But everywhere he is the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things have grown. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests. And they charge them to restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers. And when they fail to win his favor by their prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals or birds. When man sees Allah as one with him, as Father Allah, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. He goes straight up to him and say, my Father God, Allah. And then he lays his hands in Allah's own hand, and all is well. And this is Allah. You are each one a priest just for yourself, and sacrifice of blood Allah does not want. Just give your life a sacrifice, a sacrificial, pardon about it. Just give your life in sacrificial service to the all of life, and Allah is pleased. When Yehoshua had thus said, he stood aside. The people were amazed, but strove amongst themselves. Some said he is inspired by Holy Brahm, and others said he is insane, and others said he is obsessed. He speaks as devils speak. But Yehoshua tarried not. Among the guests was one, a tiller of the soil, a generous soul, a seeker after truth. who loved the words that Yehoshua spoke. And Yehoshua went with him in his home abode. Islam, Islam, Islam. And with that being said, I would like to turn this meeting over to our acting partner body, which is acting stuff, with our assistant Grand Sheikh, Shadu Amenti Almo Hadi Shabazz Il. Islam, will you come forward, brother?
Islam. Can you hear me, Grand Man?
Islam, Islam, Islam.
Islam.
I will now make you put you as the host for the thing, all right, Islam?
Okay. Let me get this thing over here, and all is well.
Islam.
All right. Let's see. All right. Can you hear me well, Grand Man?
Islam.
Islamism. Well, let us rise upon the seventh. Give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet. Honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again here, there, and everywhere. And therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome our Moorish kin to, once again, another grand Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And it's going to be a grand one, Moors, as we know that our Moorish kin have some grand measures on the manifest, in regards to dealing with this homework assignment, and so it's an honor, to hear from our Moorish kin. And the more we know, the more we grow. And we do this together as a collective Moorish kin. I ain't scared, and I know y'all ain't scared neither. So honors to the faithful and all of those who are enduring, along the way. So praise be to Allah. Let me reiterate and just pull this screen up and show our family what we have, which we know the family know what we have for assignment. Let's see. All right. Oh, that's our sheet. Get him off in here. Yeah, this assignment right here is a grand assignment. And we can't wait to hear the measures. But what we had here, family, the actual research dealing with what we were going into in our last session concerning the Sekha Insha is to demonstrate, number one, the point to demonstrate a comparative research between the Meroitic and the Demotic alphabet scripts. Just going side by side with them, looking at their comparisons, because in most cases you will see that Meroitic is sometimes called Demotic. Just like you got Hieratic, they try to call Hieratic, a cursive pictorial script and then use the other alphabet. But, there's a whole nother measure in regards to dealing with that. But the main thing is Meroitic and Demotic, are called by the same name, Demotic. And we know the name is Sekha Insha. So we wanted to see a comparison that was made between that. Now, note, you got a pictorial script, Meroitic, and then you got an alphabetical script of Meroitic. You see? So we were trying to get our people to compare the alphabetical script of the Meroitic, and we actually have it in the chart that we sent in the PDF. Then you have also arranging your own abjad sequence in relation to dealing with the alphabetical charts provided in the PDF, in the email, because in certain areas you didn't see the Demotic alphabet as it was isolated, put in an abjad form. I did actually have a chart that was in there, that goes into it, but we wanted to see, you know, how Moorish kin would arrange their own, so to speak, alongside, you know, the scripts, however they choose to put it together, all is well. Also, number 2, give a Moorish perspective on Demotic words and their isolation from the linguistic and etymological relations between the words, right? And so basically what we are saying is, you know, your particular measure, once you isolate, you know, these particular, to isolate these words, you know, from the linguistic and the etymological relation, you want to show how there's a connection to certain words, you know, that are in the Demotic language, you know, that can actually be seen in other aspects of the languages, so to speak, you know, just like I was demonstrating in the video, basically. Create your own, 3 is create your own hieroglyphic alphabetical script from the English alphabet by transcribing into pictorial symbols of your choice. And I know you're like, man, what you talking about making? No, this is not for the purpose of creating, you know, a hieroglyphic script, you know, to be used, but it is to give ones an example. And I use English alphabet because that's what we mostly relate to. So your thing was to take any choice of the pictures, you know, that you want to, you know, you could have went and you got them from what you seen right there and just put them in your own arrangement and put them beside an English letter. And this was to give you an example, you know, basically what the European did, you know, to come up with this so-called, you know, hieroglyphic metal net or whatever they want to call it. And we know it's Rosetta net. I like to call it that because it ain't what they call it. So, you know, we was basically giving that, and it ain't hard. It's just putting symbols beside a letter. You know, that's all it was. And we was going to show you basically that that's all was done to create, you know, this particular so-called script that they come up with, which in all actuality is an illusion. So we're going to call 4 or 5 Moorish kin so that we can get a drawing and see what it is that our family brought forth. And praise be to Allah, you know, we're going to go to the next degree of unfoldment. So at this particular time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we want to hear from our family what it is you brought forth. Nothing is wrong, you know, in the context of what we bring forth. We're only growing and unfolding, and we're going to, like I say, grow together. So who is it that would like to bring forth their measure first? I see a lot of our Moorish kin play hooky today. They say, oh, no, we ain't coming in there. Islam.
Islam,
Grand man.
Islam. Well, giving rise and praise our Father God Allah, and honest to our Holy Prophet, Noble Joe Ali, honest to everything that is Moorish. Man, we just give honors and praise to everything that it is to be Moorish. Giving praise, we're giving honors to our Moorish American flag, divine seal, and emblem. Islam. Dr. Torrey Simpson Bay, National Assistant Grand Chairman of Moorish America, Georgia Territory. You know, as you know, definitely the homework you were speaking about, what I gravitated to more so was when we look at, let's just say when we look at the Demotic and the heretic. So as I put it on my dial plate, this upon this, you know, this, I would say this weekly manifest, I looked at, you know,
Grand man, you mean Demotic and Meroitic?
Yeah, the Demotic and Meroitic, and then, but I guess also I understand that also the heretic was something that also we looked into as well, right? As far as the heretic.
Yeah, but we ain't got there yet. You know, we scanned over it a little bit, but we ain't went back. Yeah. You know, we going there, but we ain't really got to the heretic just yet.
Islam. All right. So Islam. So I just stick with the Demotic real briefly. And so when I looked at Demotic and how it pertains, when I looked at the Demotic, and also I looked at, you know, once again, our prophet bringing us everything that it takes to save us as a nation. And like I say, part of the body, because I have a a lot of things on my other computer. But more so when I looked at Demotic, this is a recording because as I was researching, and let me see here, I'm gonna go here real briefly. There we go. Right, so here we go. So as I was researching, when it came to Demotic, it went into the Ptolemy the third, I think the third dynasty or the Greeks, and it was talking about how the Macedonian became the king of Egypt, son of Ptolemy the second, and he was talking about how this Ptolemy actually went about with another war, a third Syrian war against the Seleucid kingdom. So when I was looking at also with the Demotic, being that I went to the root word, or what does it mean, the etymology of it, and it was talking about of or belonging to the people, especially pertaining to the common people, and also so that at that time it went me to the heretic, but you said we're not going there yet. So I'm gonna stick with the Demotic. So when I see the Demotic, and then I also look at our divine constitution of Moorish America, because like I said, this was just a part of what I'm gathering, compiling. But when I look at the divine constitution and we talk about proclaim, and it's talking about pertaining, and then we look at the definition of the Demotic, which is an adjective, and it says belonging to the people. Well, it made me think about that word proclaim, because I know that how I was interpreting or gravitating to the homework, I was more so looking at it how it pertains to what we considered heretic, which is our divine constitution, and it's also Demotic because it belongs to a people. So, like when we look at the word, like we was talking about must, so we look at must, and when I looked up the word must, because I was like I said, once again, I'm thinking about the religious part of it, the heretic of what you brought forth and how it pertains to us in this day and time. That word must that we talk about a lot in our divine constitution, this word must is actually, it deals with new wine, as we talk about, we must purify our hearts and minds right there in Acts 7. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. Well, this goes right in line with, one would say, that is a sacred word, like that must is a sacred word, or we would say in heretic. But like I said, once again, we're not there yet. And a Demotic, when it comes to Demotic um, description of who we are and what our prophet brought to us in our divine constitution, this is to proclaim. You see, and this word proclaim, it is an everyday practice of a Moorish American. So proclaim and a Demotic, it goes, to me, it runs parallel, because to proclaim is the verb. You see, it makes known by public announcement. And then when I look back at that, when I look back at the Demotic, and belonging to a people. So this what, like I said, I was giving you a drawing last night, and this what I gravitated to, as far as I kept it on my dial plate, and one would say the revelation. It made me think about even our grand national flag. Being that it's also a Demotic, it is a particular. Well, how can I say? It's a symbol that is Demotic and also heretic, because it belongs to a people, and yet it's also our sacred right as a people. And it also governs our daily affairs. As the Demotic, as when I also in Demotic, that's what it actually come about. And even in Kemet or Egypt, it was brought forth, I think, after the Meroitic, it was Demotic, and this was also keeping up with the daily affairs uh, of the people, as far as administrative duties. And also there was a book I was also gathering, compiling, and this book here is called the Open Sea. And the only reason I like I'm looking at it, also reading it and dissecting it, because it dealt with the agricultural labor, it dealt with the pre-modern economics, dealing with the ecology, the climate, and the climate change, dealing with Egypt. But it also talked about how even the Moors over on this continent in the Mexim also was transporting goods, or one would say pretty much providing all your vegetables from this continent, but they would go right there at the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea, right off Atlantic Ocean. So the map that you brought forth as well, I need to go look at that map, because that map also will bring about another grander um, um, understanding or revelation on how we were navigating people, even from this continent of Amexem, and also trading with our brothers and sisters over in Egypt. So that with being said, I just wanted to bring that measure just to add, to my Moorish kin, peace, love, and law at all costs. And like I said, once I arrive back in GA, inshallah, I'm going to bring forth pretty much the whole overall homework assignment once I get back to the lab. So gratitude for allowing me to speak. Peace, love, and law at all costs. Islam.
Islam, brother, and gratitude for the measure, along the way. And we would say this right here, we give honors to you. I was trying to see how you was comparing it, the alphabet and the script, side by side, or whatever the case may be. And I heard the measure that
well, I was gonna get into the aleph and the ba. I know in the heretic you have the ox head.
Pardon the body more. I was speaking of how you were comparing the alphabet, for example, to each other, as far as dealing with the points in the assignment. And I was trying to see where your measure was coming in with those particular points at. But nevertheless, all is well, and we will see when our other Moorish kin come forth, and you'll see exactly the drawing on where we were coming from. So gratitude for the measure, though. We know you're on the work, the road, and so forth and so on. In Islamism, praise be to Allah. Gratitude, Islam. All right. Next more. All right, now. Islam. Uh-oh. Come on, Grand National Secretary of the State. She said, I got it. Islam, sister. All right. Uh-oh, we can't hear you, Grand National Secretary of State. I don't know what's going on my end over here. I see you're unmuted, but it's just not on.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. I hear you
praise
loud
God.
and clear. I say, Rome better not play this morning.
Look, I tell you. Islam Moorish kin. I'm going to share my screen. First of all, I want to rise, giving all praises to our Father God Allah, giving honor to our Prophet, Noble Jura Ali, the last prophet in these days and times, giving honor to our Moorish American government, giving honor to our Georgia consulate for providing a forum for our class this morning, giving honor to Dr. Bati Bey, Consul General of Iowa, for opening our meeting according to law, also to our National Assistant Grand Chairman, Dr. Torre Simpson Bey, and also giving honor to Act One. It was a grand demonstration at the Lions Den. Praise Allah, praise Allah. You could just see the spirit of the prophet moving. I'm so humbled for Act One and those on the panel, and also those that were asking the question. And Brother Judah, it was just such a beautiful demonstration, and that, just to see the interaction of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, without judgment, without, and that was masterfully done, Dr. Shaheed. So I give much honor to you for that, because we also had Moors that didn't have access to the internet that were able to listen in using the conference call, so that was a grand measure, and gratitude for that. With our assignment, and I got to give much honor to Dr. Diane Carter Bay, because after the Lions Den, I'm calling my sister up. Okay, look, I need some assistance with this. So, we give honor where honor is due. And we were able to, the sister was assisting me, because how sometimes you get a blank, well, I don't, mine on lockdown or what have you. So I just wanted to give honor to the sister for, assisting with my assignment. Now, looking at our assignment, to demonstrate comparative research between the Meroitic and Demotic alphabet scripts. Then arrange your own abjad sequence in relation to the alphabetical charts provided in the PDFs. Also, give a Moorish perspective on the Demotic words and their isolation from the linguistic and etymological relations between the words of Shem, Hutepu, and Islamism. Now, I think I misinterpreted that aspect where I just focused on the two words Shem, Hutepu, and Islamism. But, you know, all is well. Create your own hieroglyphic alphabetical script from the English alphabet by transcribing into pictorial symbols of your choice. So I basically came from, and gratitude, Dr. Shahid, for the handouts, especially the one dealing with Demotic, because that's where most of the research came from. Now, looking at the Demotic alphabet, and of course, I couldn't pull page 10 or page 11 to put it onto my demonstration. So I had to go through on the internet and try to find what was similar to be able to copy it forth. But hey, it's all good. The alphabet, and it repeats itself because we know that this is the letter A as far as the Demotic alphabet is concerned. And that's coming from page 10 of the Demotic PDF that we got on the email. And in comparing it to page 11, which is the Meroitic script, I pulled forth certain ones. I didn't pull forth all, but certain ones that look like the exact same thing. So when, and I had to go to the drawing aspect, you know, that first letter A, both in Demotic and also Meroitic, that was the same thing. When I looked at the D, as far as comparing the Demotic and the Meroitic, they both look like an upside-down pyramid with a loop, a straight line on one end and a loop on the other. So, and then I went to the S coming from the Demotic script, which looked like the Roman VII, you know, both in the Demotic and the Meroitic. That was the same thing. Now, when I went to the abjad chart, basically, because of not really having the knowledge of how to maneuver, I just basically took the abjad, A, B, G, D, and went back to, that script that was in the Demotic. And I just basically used the four. I didn't put it on this panel, but I basically just used the first four letters of the abjad, and I pulled the G from where the G should be in the A, B, G, D sequence as far as mentally was concerned. So I didn't actually put it on this PDF. Now, when we look at also give a Moorish perspective on Demotic words and their isolation from the linguistic and etymological relations between the words of Shem, Hutepu, and Islamism. Linguistic is dealing with the structures of languages, determining the extent to which these structures are universal or language particular. You know, when we look at the etymology, we know that that's the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. And that's the whole point of what we're getting, is that we have specific language and the hoops that Europeans went through to try to cover it up and make you think that our ancestors were just dealing with the hieroglyphs itself, not actually having the one language, which is that common cord that binds all the rest of the nations of the earth, you know. So when we look at Demotic, as our National Assistant Grand Chairman spoke about, the definition of Demotic is of the regular people or language or simpler ancient Egyptian writing system relating to the common people, relating to or written in the simplified form of ancient Egyptian hieratic writing, which was dealing with the priestly class. Demotic is defined as normal language or the Greek language, and here's where the remix comes in. You know, anything Greek, and no, you weren't back there, so we already know that that's an untruth. When we look at the Moorish perspective, Demotic language is the language of the common people of Kemet as opposed to the hieratic language used by the priestly class. due to the Greek remix and so-called Egyptologists promoting hieroglyphs as the language of ancient Kemet. An erroneous notion developed that the language of the Egyptians was hieroglyphs. That's how I gave my perspective. When we look at Shem-Hotepu and Islamism, I went through trying to go back through etymology. Shem-Hotep, I go in peace, coming from New Netter, dealing with the sacred words. And we know that that's identified with Kemet. Shem-Hotep, I come in peace. And then it also had, along with that, a saying from Buddha: everything is based on mind, is led by mind, is fashioned by mind. If you speak and act with a polluted mind, suffering will follow you as the wheels of the ox cart follow the footsteps of the ox. Everything is based on mind, is led by mind, is fashioned by mind. If you speak and act with a pure mind, happiness will follow you as a shadow clings to a form. We can see that same truth within our Quran. You know, so we're looking at his story versus our history, which is key. So that was very powerful, and we could see the hookup when we look at Islamism, which two different areas of research here dealing with Islamism comes from the word al-silm and istilama, which means peace and surrender. Then it speaks about the literal and lexical meaning of Islam means submission. Islam comes from the root Arabic letters SLM, which we know everything came out of Kemet, which are the same root letters the word peace, salam, comes from, also to make peace. The term Islam means peace, and it implies that one finds peace or salam through submission. Islam, salama, submission to God, wholeness, sincerity, safeness, and total surrender. And then the last demonstration in reference to create your own hieroglyphs using the English, I just pulled, I just used the character W in the English language, put this symbol and made it water. Use the Ankh coming from the letter T, because they always want to say, well, that's actually a cross with a circle on it. You know how Rome describes things, and put it as life. I used the English letter O, made a circle and said, this is the circle of life, and the S, snake, I just used the symbol of the snake. So that was my measure, you know, for our assignment today. Islam, gratitude.
In Islam, gratitude, Grand National Secretary of the State. Goodness gracious. And you kept it simple, because you did right. You didn't have to write a whole alphabet out or nothing like that right there. And we love the measure you brought forth with the Arab jazz sequence and so forth and so on. Also, the breakdown on the glyphs that you just brought, you know, how you made that, and you can see how easy it was for you to just do that. Now imagine when they did the same thing, you know, with the hieratic script, you know, and then they did the same thing with the Demotic. And now they got people looking for these symbols, when in all actuality, it ain't no symbol, it's really the letter that was used, you know. And so this is why our people get took off, because they get caught up into the symbols, not knowing the symbols ain't really got nothing to do with the actual letter itself. They just put these things together, and that's why we had the Moors do the exercise, so they can see how easy it was for E. Wallace Budge and them to get away with what they did, you know. And we ain't even fully unfolded, and you was able to do that like it wasn't nothing. And you took things that were convincible now. When you look at it, okay, look at the water and the W. So someone would say, you see it? See the little ripples in it? That is the letter W right there. It looks just like it. It's a piece of the ripple. So this is the type of way our people begin to argue. Look at the letter O. You see that circle right there, right? It's the same symbol. Look at it. It's the snake. The snake got a little curve and pattern. It looked like the edge. And so they have our people crazy out there like that. You know what I mean? And that was the whole purpose of getting that done, you know, so our Moors could see that. Man, powerful and very much to the point. And y'all sisters got together and went to working on that demonstration. And we just say praise be to Allah, Islamism without schism. So I see our sister Carter Bay is definitely on the manifest, and she already got her slide up here ready to share. So we gonna get on out the way. Islam goddess and queen, you there? If you speaking, we can't hear you, queen.
Islam.
Islam.
Curtin Bay, I tell you, I don't know if I'm gonna be. This was a challenge for me because y'all know I'm still trying to learn how to do this PowerPoint, and then trying to put it together to make a presentation. I will need some help. If Dr. Shaheed, can you pull up the that first the assignment that you give us with the one with the demonic strip on it and the myriadic strip? Can you pull that up for me? That'll help me greatly. And I really just worked on that one, just trying to compare. And yes, that's it right there. And if you can scroll down to page 10 and 11, I don't know if I can scroll down or you can scroll it down for me to 10 and 11. Yeah, right there. Go come on up. Yeah, and yeah, right there. With those two, what I did in trying to compare them, I looked at them and I saw that the A was the same as the myriadic down here. And it's the first alphabet that I noticed that. But then when I went over and looked at the B, I mean, and it had that symbol there. It's the seventh. I believe that's the number 7 I count. It's the 7th alphabet in the myriadic language, and also this here S right here, and then in the myriadic down here it's a S. But I didn't understand what is that under that demo. What did that mean? I didn't understand what that meant. But I noticed that it was under that part where it say demo. And also on this alphabet down here, that's the C up there in the demonic. And then but it was a S in the myriadic down here. And I thought that was interesting. But like I say, I did see that they were not in the sequence that our abjad is. And also if you could scroll down to page 12 for me, right there, to go down. Gratitude got me right there. I looked up those different words, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right, but when I looked them up, I saw the similarity in these writings and alphabets and stuff. And this one here, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It's Iberico, that language. And I found out that was a non-Indo-European tongue, continued to be spoken in early Roman times. And it was along the East Coast. It was written in Liberian, the Liberian script. And that system had 28 syllabic and alphabetic characters. And some, they say, some derived from Greek, and then they put in there and Phoenician systems. And then they claim most of them was unknown, the origin was unknown. And I found that to be similar. They will mention us, they will mention our teachings in those writings, but they tried to me, that's what I picked up from it. They was trying to simulate that it's coming from the Greek, and they just give a little bit of reference to us. And then when they didn't know, they say it came from unknown sources. And also I did that MINO, and it was similar similar to the same thing. They trying to insinuate that all these teachings and things come from ancient Greek teachings and stuff. And so I had to go back to brother Mastala Mastala Gala and reading his teaching. And of course, we know that regardless of what they are saying and what the language alphabet is, it all comes from our teachings. And to sum it up, Brother Mastala was saying that, you know, all alphabet letter forms were present in ancient Egypt since early pre-dynastic eras over 7,000 years ago, prior to any place else in the world. Also, he said, all the Egyptian alphabet letter forms are clearly distinguishable in the oldest recovered so-called Egyptian hieratic writing more than 5,000 years ago. And he also said that the same exact ancient Egyptian letter forms were later adopted and spread by other people throughout the world. And then it also took me back to make me think about, even in the Bible, I didn't write it down, but we saw even in the Piscean records where we only had one language. And then we saw where it said in the Piscean era that God came down and scattered them and had different languages. So you can even trace it back to the Piscean record that there was nothing but one language. And for us trying to for us trying to you say give our Moorish perspective on demonic words and their isolation from the linguistic and etymological relationship between the word Shemhotep and Islamism. I got kind of confused on that one too. But the bottom line to me is it's all our language. It all stems from our Egyptian teachings, regardless of how they tried to hide it. They tried to tell us the hieroglyphs, make us study the hieroglyphs and everything, and call them letters in which they was words and stuff. But the bottom line is, we know that we were the first one here, and we were the one who gave the languages into the world. And like I say, I can go back even to the Piscean era when we only had one language. And gratitude, God, man. I'm gonna start right there because I don't know if I did all this right enough, but I'll try. And gratitude for your patience with me, because I tell you, this was a challenge trying to do get all this together and then try to do the PowerPoint too. I was like, oh my God. But anyway, gratitude. And like I say, I was hanging in there. It was very challenging for me, but hey, I'm learning and I'm getting a better understanding of these alphabets. And even with the Mustafa Guatemala, when we studied those, I'm getting a deeper understanding of those alphabets in that teaching too. So this is not a waste. I might not have everything right, and I might not have a measure every time we come to class, but it is helping me, and I'm understanding it more better. So gratitude for letting me share, and that's my measure. and also, God, man, Brother Leroy, I work with him. I don't know if he on here or not, but he has a measure too. And he wants me to read something for him, but I guess he will come forth whenever he gets ready. Islam, gratitude. Brother Leroy Larry Bay, Islam.
Islam, gratitude. We'll definitely let the brother come forth and demonstrate his measure. I want to briefly give a drawing, sister. You know, you went into you done advanced all the way in that portion where you were demonstrating with the Iberian script. You know, because that's actually gonna be a foundation for, you know, our language. And when we go to compiling certain things, you know, we're gonna do it just like our ancestors demonstrated. You know, they was able to have a language that they demonstrated for purposes, common use, and then they had a language they demonstrated you know, for writing certain documents, you know, law and, you know, funeral texts, religious texts, and so forth and so on. So that particular script that you were dealing with is the script that actually went universally across, you know, the world, basically, you know. And that's why I say we'll use that as a basis, because that script can be found, you know, as used by the ancient Canaanites, you know, were known as the ancient Canaanite script, you know, what they call the Moabite script. You know, the Moabite stone has, you know, the similar writing on it with the change and variation of letters where you twist them to the side or some of them turn upside. And that's why you had many of them instead of one chart, because it was showing the different ways that the alphabets had been shifted or whatever. But this Iberic demonstration you just brought forth, you know, like I say, which is further advanced, because we're going to get into that a little later. The Iberic script was there in the region that we know of as where Atlantis was found. That's the same script that Tehuti basically was using on the Emerald tablets. If you look at the Emerald tablets and you look at the Iberical script, you know, it's the same thing. And then the Kemites basically adopted this from them. Because remember, Tehuti taught the Kemites.
Right.
You see, so we know the Greeks were nowhere back there. So you rightfully assert, you know, that these Greek people wasn't nowhere on the man. Then 7,000 years, we know that's older than the Greek civilization, you see? And so the fact of it being 28 alphabets, you know, that's why we are going to use that when we put it in the sound form that Mustafa Gadala gave in his works. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to use those sound forms just as he gave them. And we're going to use the Abjad order in relation to dealing with those alphabets. And I actually, you know, did a research on them, you know, those particular words, and just which ones, the origins of where they came from. And basically all of them originate from what I see. And this is why the Europeans say they don't know where they come from.
Yeah.
I found that they all come through the Iberic. You know, they didn't come from Phoenician, nor did they come from the Greeks. They came from the Iberic, you know, and the Tartars and the Iber, like the word Iber. You know, they use that term in the Piscean records as a son of Sidon.
Oh, yeah.
And in some of the texts of Atlantis, you know, which the so-called Greeks try to come up with, they say Sidon was really Poseidon, who had a son by the name of Atlas, which is where the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, you know, the Moorish region come from. And the Atlanteans was said to be in that region, you know. So when you get into all that history right there and deal with the Iberic script and you go back to Tehuti, taking this in the Kemet, you understand now why Mustafa Gadala book, the same alphabet is there with Iberian, but then it also says Egyptian.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, that's a little more advanced. You said you're a little behind, sister, but seemed like to me, you know, you done jumped way up to the top of the rung. Yeah, you done went way up there. You know, we're gonna get to that, you know, because that's when we're gonna compile and put everything together. I just said that since you brought it up, I might as well let you know, you're in the right area. And like you said, yeah, we dealt with one language, and that goes back to the one language. Now, in regards to dealing with the script, the Demotic script is something I want to point out too, as well, you know, and this is a grand drawing. Let me see here. Yeah, that's power, Sister Carter Bay. What you in the Grand National Secretary of the Statement over there? Talk about y'all don't know what's going on, y'all over there. Man,
I don't know what I do without it.
You being guided by the Holy Breath.
I know that's right.
That's what's going on. And so we wanted to show y'all these particular symbols and signs of the Demotic, you know, in comparison to the Meroitic, because somebody actually tried to write their own version out here, you know, in dealing with this particular chart, which you can see a lot of those same symbols that are in the other scripts that you all have shown. You know, you can look at the comparison of them Like you see this letter here, you can see this letter here. This right here, what they calling a K in this language has been identified as A, and I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you something. We're gonna point out here why it's like that. That's because this demotic script, as they calling it, this is something that one has put together, and they put it beside the English alphabet. See it all the way up to, you know, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it go all the way to Z. You see what I'm saying? So that's where they came up with this special measure here from. And these are really dividers here. These ain't really alphabet. These two dots, they dividers. When you see that in the, what they call the Meroitic language, which this chart is calling Demotic, these are dividers in between them, but they putting these as different alphabets. So you know they can't all be this, different letters and have the same symbol. You see what I'm saying? See, that was key. And I did it this way because I wanted our Moorish kin to have that keen eye, which y'all did have a good eye to pick out certain measures. You see? So what's going on is that it's this script that y'all pulled up. And you asked me what demo was. That's just saying Demotic. Because this right here is what they are trying to call, well, this is what they call it, hieroglyphics. You know what I mean? And so this is the same thing the Grand National Secretary of State did. See how they had this here? Because they actually have a pictorial script in the Meroitic. You know, they have a pictorial script in Meroitic. What we found, and I got some more documentation as well, is that these tribes, because this is more of a Nubian language, just like the Canaanites, when they went away, they took these symbols and they actually compared these symbols to a letter. They did that. In Canaan, they did that. But in Egypt, they didn't do that. You see what I'm saying? But the European used the fact that they had this type of writing, you know, and they tried to use that same concept with the Egyptian hieroglyphs. You know, well, if they did it this way, then they must have did it. No, that ain't how it went. You know what I mean? Not according to the priesthood anyway, because we brought those records to the family. So what happened at the end of the day, though, this demo is Demotic in the Meroitic script. Now, I'm going to show you the letters when you compare it to the chart that I showed you a few minutes ago, you know, which is really, you see how that is rolled out there? Remember, we went over this here when we were dealing with showing how the Arabic derived from here. You know, building our foundation up so we would get a little familiar with this thing. And so I'm going to go back up here to the other script that I was on a few minutes ago, this one right here. So you see these two marks here, right? They are called K here, right? In this particular drawing, right? But when you go down here, like I said, and the Grand National Secretary of the State pointed it out, going through, you know, the similarities that as they look between each other, they had it here as an A. You see what I'm saying? Now watch this. Note that these are different people that are compiling these charts. So don't think it got nothing to do with now one of y'all being incorrect. It's just going to show you that people, you know, basically guessing at these things. Like this right here is said to represent a B. Now, being that we went over to Hecopter, this is Coptic right here on the side. So it's really already abjad order on these letters here in the Coptic perspective. You see what I'm saying? It's already here. You know, but you probably really didn't notice it at the time if you didn't really think, oh, that's the Coptic, you know, and thought to compare. So that's the A, B, G, and the D right there, right? The way they're putting it down in this measure, right? But it has K over here. Why? Because the K is interchangeable with the G. Remember that, right? You see what I'm saying? So it can be a KRG. You see? So now, when you go to this letter A here, in the way that they have it up here, hold up, and come down here to, where's that other script at that I just went to a few minutes ago? Yeah, you can see it's the same thing here. They actually put the K here. You see that? Then they got a little mark here. You can actually see how this go back to the Arabic letter K. Remember the letter K in Arabic, how it's similar to this right here? That's just a piece of it, but you can see the similarities to it, for example. But you can see how pieces and bits are often taken from these demonstrations. Let me see here. It's another measure that I was trying to show you here as well. Okay, so then this right here is being the letter B. It looked like a 4, right? Looked like a number 4 right here, right? Let me see here. Go back down here. Pull them up. Okay. And you can see a similar letter here, but then they put the letter I on it. You see what I'm saying? So the people is all over the place, family. You know, and then you see all these 3 dots right here, the lines, not dots, but lines, right? Now, when you go back up here, and they using that as a Y and the sound yeah or whatever, right? When you come up here, you see the same ones here. You see? And you got the hey, wah, and okay, yeah. You see? Coming up in this demonstration. Okay, they got that right, because it's abjad order. So, I mean, you can just go point by point and compare these things, and based on how somebody wrote them or the style they wrote them in, you know, it's going to be a little different and a little bit off. But nevertheless, you can see, you know, the essence of these things. And, you know, we'll get into all of those things later, because the whole point is not to identify, you know, these things, to deal solely with these languages here, you know, and actually go into the essence of them, trying to speak them. You know, it really has to do more with being able to identify the true alphabet and going back to the text whenever we start doing that, you know, and we can start doing some transliterations and stuff. So all of this is going to take our research, like the Arabic that we learn. You know, we got to stay at it. You know, the Coptic aspects that we learn, we stay at it on our own times. But when we start to produce, you know, words and so forth and so on, you know, all these things are going to be useful for us to have an eye for what it is that we bringing on the manifest. Because in order to produce a language, first and foremost, you have to gather. Most languages are birthed from other languages. Like English was birthed from other languages. So the words that we choose will be based upon the alphabetical system that we have. You know, now if a word was borrowed from a different language or whatever, then it'll just be considered an adopted word, you know, within that special language. You see what I'm saying? So we'll get to all that right there later. But yeah, so all of these different people have put different words out here, and then they put letters on the side of them, you know, but the only one you can really trust is the abjad order of the letters. If you go with the abjad order of the letters, you can never go wrong. You see what I'm saying? That's the whole point. The abjad is the DNA of the language. The abjad guides you, you know, to everything in its proper perspective, so to speak. Now, if you come here as well, just to point these things out. See here, they have this as a B here, right? Again, we went into that earlier. You know, this is why. We went into that a few minutes ago, right? So, okay, we can see the similarities in here and going into this language. Now, I got whole lessons that go into the breakdown of these things. You see, so we're going to get into that a little bit more so our family will know how to navigate, because I'm going to send all of them to our family as well. You know, all these lessons dealing with the Demotic, because you got to know them in order to deal with certain comparisons. You know, and as we went into these things last time we spoke on trilaterals, you know, with 3 letters, you know, bilateral with 2 letters. You know, we spoke on all of that stuff. And we already know that the symbol really is obsolete. We ain't really thinking about that, because that was just put there. And that's why we had, like our Grand National Secretary of State showed you, How she was able to just take a symbol and put it beside it and then came forth with that. And that's basically all they did. So these symbols, if one is not careful, is nothing more than a distraction from this. That's the best way of saying it. Because if you get caught up in this right here, it's nothing wrong with the symbols because there's a metaphysical understanding in that. That's a whole nother teaching though. You see what I'm saying? But we talking about the actual script. These are the script. And so when you see these letters on the side of it, it's not coming from the symbol, it's coming from this alphabet. You see what I'm saying? It's not coming from this symbol here, it's coming from this alphabet. So that's the Y, you know, that's the B, that's the JRT right here, you know, the RMT, you know what I mean? So that's how it's going. So we just wanted to point those things out. Islam.
And Islam, and then we say that's why they wanted us to focus on this over here, so we wouldn't actually know what the alphabet was.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah,
see, you see how easy that can be done. Now let's put it in the context. Let's say, oh, we dig up some papyrus, right?
Right.
Now the papyrus got these symbols on the side of it, you know. It ain't got none of this nowhere around. None of these things nowhere around. It's just straight like this here. In other words, you know, the papyrus looked like this when we, hold up. Where is it at? Wrong slide there. There you go. It looked like this when we find it. You see what I'm saying? So then we done come up with a methodology where we putting symbols beside these letters because we say, okay, they two jumbled together. So we're going to try to use these symbols to isolate these things and put them on side. And that's why I said when it comes to dealing with us, being that they done already demonstrated certain measures, the only way out of the fire is through the fire. You can use that as a methodology since they done put them beside the letter to identify certain things, but don't get the symbol confused with the letter. You see what I'm saying? You know, because that's all they did really. And that's why they call it transcribing into hieroglyphs. Right. Like if it was already like this, then how you gonna take it over there and turn it into a symbol?
Right.
You ain't translating nothing out of it. You actually taking it under, you bearing it. And it's crazy because if those symbols come from the native people now, right? You can say, well, the native people did it like this. No, the native people didn't do it like that right there. The European made you think the native people did it like that. And that's what made it easy for them to bury the alphabet up under the symbols. So now here you go looking at the symbols, trying to decipher this and don't even know what you're trying to decipher.
That's right.
And so you gonna be going spinning it, basically hamstering the wheel. Now while this papyrus is sitting over here and you ain't went into it at all. Right. You so busy on the symbol, and all the while they know this now. So they got this papyrus studying it while you over there trying to study the symbols. Don't know, that's metaphysical. That's symbolic. That's right. Figurative. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that's why we took it up here and showed you how the classical people looked at it, and they tell you. Right. You know, those who are educated among the Egyptians learned first that mode of writing, which is called epistolographic. And they use the term enchorial because they're talking about regular writing. Because enchorial is another word for demotic, basically, which we call it the second inshat. We know the proper name now, right? Right. But then they say, secondly, they're hieratic, which is also a written script. You know, then lastly, the hieroglyphic, which is dealing with Kyrillogic, not figurative, but spelt by means of the first letters. They was talking, they showing you what ones represent. They saying that's what the Kyrillogic refers to, the epistolographic and the hieratic and so forth and so on. But then when you get into the symbolic, this is the hieroglyphic. You see, this symbolic has to do with one expresses written imitatively. Another is written figuratively. And a third is allegorical, like some riddles. You see, so this is the order. Writing come first, the symbols represented metaphysics. You see, symbolic, figurative speech. You see what I'm saying? Or like, you know, in our Moorish Holy Quran, it speaks on, you know, all life forms being a living deity, so to speak. Right. You see, and this goes back to the symbols, you know, being expressed in that metaphysical way. Reading the book of creation. That's how you read real metanoia. Because now you listen to the silent voice that speak within.
That's right.
But that ain't a physical language that you speak.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? That's something that comes through meditation.
Yes.
That's why
Yes,
Yehoshua was told to go in the chamber and do what? Contemplate, meditate upon them symbols that you see on the wall. You weren't given no alphabetical chart.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
It's
So
right.
once you understand in that context, you say, oh, now we see what's going on. Rome, you can't hide it from me now. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Oh, we caught you, did you? You thought we weren't gonna never catch on to that, did you?
That's right.
So you know, the prophet, praise be to Allah for the prophet. And I want to show you something else. I'm gonna open up because we ain't got a whole lot of us on here, but these are bonus measures. And when one is moved to do this, you know, it's spirit moving one to go this way. And so I want to show you something as well here. I want to pull this up real quick. Let me pull my my little PDF, because I actually been working on this PDF because I want to do a presentation on this, because we have people talk, and I done did one already, but I found more. Every time when I think I done found a little bit, I end up finding a whole lot more. You know, and this is dealing with those so-called Greeks, but this gonna be dealing with Atlantis. I'm gonna be coming from that because I hadn't did a presentation on that yet for the media, and I'm gonna go into it. I'm just putting this together, but I'm gonna give you a preview of what I have here. You know, showing you these depictions of these original deities. Now, this is Zeus here. You can actually see it. Remember how we showed you when you look at the Coptic, some of them words you can see it as it is. That's Zeus right there, right? You know, that's what that is. And he's fighting against Typhoon, you know, which is the so-called Athenian version of what they call Set. You see, i.e., you can call it Satan in the biblical context if you want to. But nevertheless, he's fighting against that special one. Now, look at this. This is Poseidon that I told you earlier that gave birth to Atlas. Look at the complexion of this special one, right? Poseidon is where they get the movie Aquaman from. You see, that's why he had the little, you know, tool. If you ever seen Aquaman, you know, he has, you know, the pitchfork-like tool, you know, and he's supposed to be from Atlantis, right? That's what they say in the Marvel comics. You know, so you got to look at these things. But look at his hue. You know, look at the hue on this one right here. And if you look this up under the Attics, they like to use the term Black Attics. You know, it made me think about Asia Attics. You see, because the area that it called Greece was actually, you know, a portion of Eurasia, which I call Lower Asia, like the chairman called it, you know, or Mar Asia easy. So Asia Attics from this aspect cover the people that's in the world. In all actuality, we showed you on the map. It just really represents the people. But look at this here, right? Now, this is way before the Europeans in 332 BC, I want to mind. Most of these images are from 500 BC. You see what I'm saying? But we know they even go up into the 100 BC and our people were still present. This is another image of Poseidon fighting Medusa right here, right? Look at his complexion. Oh, it get clear though. Now this is Poseidon here. He still has his little, you know, pitchfork. Now this is Atlantean, you know, links, right? Look at his hue. Look, he has the locks in his head, right? Now, the Greeks don't teach this here, not the modern day European. They be just as buttermilk complected as they can be, don't they? Now watch this. Here's some more. He has the locks on his head with the long beard. That's Poseidon as well. Oh, y'all gonna really trip when I show you this. And this is why we say we got to be careful and say, oh, that's the Greek this and that, because we don't demonstrate. We say Hecopter. So properly spoken, these are the Hecopter that I'm showing you that originally inhabited Greece that were known as the Etruscans. They were an Egyptian people, you know, in that particular area. You see? Now watch this. This is Atlas, the son of Poseidon, melanated as ever with locks again. Now, you know this symbol right here, a lot of people don't know what this is. You ever seen the symbol when the European is holding the globe on his back? That's supposed to be the symbol of Atlas. You see what I'm saying? And Atlas, it also has to do with the little globe when they have it, where you can get them. I got one right up there on my shelf, as a matter of fact. You know what I mean? The Atlas. You go into all these measures, right? They want to put the European toting the world on his back, but the original individual that's toted the world on his back was our people. That's the globe right there. That's the world that he got up there on his shoulders. And it's the son of Poseidon. Well, it's not obvious his son would look like him, right? He wouldn't just become a European man, right? And every statue you see now, you know, with Atlas, you know, they got a European holding up the globe. You see? So now look at this here. This is a picture, and this gonna really give it up. Now you got a picture of a Sphinxian-like individual, right? In, you know, amongst these Etruscans. You even got a jackal-like measure there, dealing with Anpu, right there among them, right? But look who that is. That's who they call Hermes, which is another name of Tehuti. Look at that crown that he got on his head. That's what they call the Atef that Asar often has on. And this is the crown of Lord Egypt, which is often red. Right there in so-called Greek thing. That done gave away, and he got a staff with it with the serpent on. That's Hermes, or the version of Tehuti that was sitting there, because he was actually instructing a couple of them. Hercules, Zeus, and all of them. Now watch this. This is another measure that's given. And this is, they said Hermes and the infant Hercules. See him right here? This is basically their version of Tehuti that got Hercules in it on. Look, Hercules is melanated as ever. Hermes is melanated ever. So when you hear people saying Greek, you got to think Hecopter. You got to think Etruscan. You got to think Minoan. You see what I'm saying? So there he is again. Hermes, Tehuti, right? Here he is again, same thing. Now this is Hercules. Look at his depiction. Now we know this ain't just something they were drawing, because this is a dead giveaway. That's definitely our people, because who that is right there? That's serving him. Huh? So we see that, oh yeah, it's all made plain. There wasn't no dark-skinned Europeans for our people that might have been thinking that. No, them were really our people, and they go to European right there. You know, the Hyksos bloodline, so to speak, serving our people. You know, and so we can go on and on with this particular measure. You see the European woman here, you got our sisters up here, you know, along with Apollo and Hercules. You see, sister right here. Then you got Hercules and Apollo on the manifest. It's something else. Same measure here, Athena. They were celebrating the birth of Athena, and that's supposed to be Athena coming up here symbolic. These that's one of the sisters. You know, they right there 570, 560 BC. Same thing here. This is dealing with the birth of Athena, 545, 535 BC. See again, there's the one that has on the Atef, you know, that's Hermes, Tehuti right there on the manifest. Hermes, they would call him. You know, look at your Trojan. All of them melanated. They go that European right there. You see what I'm saying? So we know in all of the ancient depictions, you know, look here. That's dealing with Zeus, Athena right there. Look at her with a little sphere. You know, see, Athena, they tried to say in the Marvel comics that Wonder Woman come through her lineage. See, because they've been connecting all of these things, the Amazons and all of them. You see what I'm saying? Oh, man. Goodness gracious. Dionysus. Look here. Yes, sir. All of these depictions. There you go again. European coming to, he say, all right, now that's a nice hair you done caught. But they bringing them to our brother Dionysus. He got the lock. That was a depiction that they demonstrated. They love wearing the locks over there during that time. But anyway, you have Aries. This is Aries here. You see? Another depiction. Let's see here. We got Zeus again. See it here? You can actually see it in the word Zeus. You can see it depending on how they spell it. He got his lightning bolt in his hand. Y'all seen Thor, what they call him, Thor? If you ever seen the little marvel about him, then they say he was descendant of Zeus and all them particular ones. And you know, they try to tie it into history. So all the while they worshiping our people, low key, and then telling you, no, this is our people. Because that's the closest they can use to superimpose themselves in the history. They can't really do that with Kemet too much. That's why the movie Gods of Egypt didn't really sell nothing, because it didn't have no Asiatics in it. Nobody didn't want to see it. They like, come on, bro, you know good and well, there wasn't no European back then talking about their Horus and Osiris. We ain't spending no money on that. So it was a pretty good movie to watch, but nobody really paid no money to watch. So Adonis, you see, Adonis is another measure. Adon, you know, is often mentioned as well in the Piscean records. Adon, you know, like Adon, A-D-N, or even A-T-U-N, Atun. You see, that's a whole nother level because the D is interchangeable with the T, but we'll get into that later. Some of these were known as deities in the pantheon, just like we got the Ennead and Kemet. You know, some of these individuals are part of their pantheon. Hester, the goddess Estia Vesta, right here. Melanated as ever, family. You know, Polyphemus or Polyphemus, same one, melanated as ever. You know, the theft of Apollo's cattle. You know, you know good and well, look at these brothers here, you can see the naps in their locks up here. You know, but nevertheless, man, it's just crazy how they try to hide these things. This is a statue of Artemis, you know, a goddess, Ephesian Artemis, right? That's another depiction of Artemis right here. Here's another depiction of a Corinthian Pnyx, as they called it, from the Voided tablet. This is also from 580 BC. Notice all this stuff with the locks again. You see, so that we can tell that was a cultural expression that they had. Apollyon, you see, right here. It got so many more when it comes to this stuff. And this is actually dealing with some of their cosmology right here. Helios, you know, Adiodos. This is the Sphinx, where one is sitting in front of it. Man, I can go on and on and on and on with this demonstration here and show you there again, European serving, you know, the God, man. So that's why they reversed the role and they want us to be their maids and their servants now. Because even when they go to Greece, every time they look on the wall, guess who they see? When they go to Rome, when they look on the walls, who they see? You know, so that right there really got to be mentally disturbing to some people now. You know, that just been taught something else and that we was inferior and all that right there, that got to hurt. They say they inferior, but when we look on the wall, they gods. You know, so they looking at you sideways when they look at you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Even in the lower state of vibration, y'all still want to act arrogant? Yeah, because it's the God that's in our people that got them. They know they're supposed to be gods. That's where all that ego and that nature really come from. Because we know we greater than that. You know, we greater than being somebody else's slave. You know, to be honest with you, it just came from a toxic perspective in this new era in time. You know, because our people don't know what it is they're expressing. That's the God trying to come out of you in a righteous way. You know you ain't supposed to be no slave. You know you're supposed to be somewhere sitting on a throne, you know, ruling, you know, from a righteous standpoint. So a lot of our frustration has become infighting, division, conflict. You know, the wars are being made amongst the gods. You know, so that's just a powerful demonstration in and of itself. And I wanted to point that out, you know, because when I go back to the language as we was pointed out earlier. And remember, I was speaking of the Minoans as well in that special demonstration. Come right here to the chart that we were using. Let me pull it up again. We just had it back to the language, and we're gonna open it up for our next more. Where is it? Come here. Okay, not there, not there, not there. Okay. Okay, we'll do it like this here because it's already open. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I can share my screen and go back to it there. So going back to the language, family, when we come back over here, I just had it. There you go. That same script that you went into, notice they use this terminology here. Minoical, which is dealing with the Minoans, who I just referred to as one of the groups. And so this is why they go to saying, well, this is Greek too. You know, this is of the ancient people that were the Hecopta in that area. Those ancient Iberians, you know, they got that language. These people that were in so-called Greece, they, the Minoans and the Etruscans, they received that from the Egyptian, the Kemites. Well, they say they adopted it from the Phoenicians, but the Phoenicians still coming through the Cushite lineage. So you can see how the language has traveled in that special state, in that special way. So it's, there are no strange happenings. You know, we even showed our family in our book that we put on the manifest. You can actually see how easy it was for the language to come into existence. I'm gonna see if I can pull that up real quick on the maps that I was showing you. And let me know if you see this map, family. Can you see this here? When I took you back into the book that I was actually writing in.
It ain't changed yet.
It ain't changed yet?
It's still on there, what you
Okay,
showed.
what I'm gonna do then, because I know what I probably have to do. Stop sharing it. For some reason, it don't go on the, it won't switch on the PDFs. So I just close it out and then open it up again, and it should get us there. Okay, so let me start sharing this. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, y'all see it now?
Islam, Islam.
Okay, Islam. You know, and so these are certain maps that I have to express what I was showing to our family. And remember, I had showed y'all a map. You know, matter of fact, I showed our people a map last night, showing how, you know, they was dealing with the Europe, the Asia, and the Libya. In certain areas, they use it, or sometimes they would call it the whole area Mauritania that was considered the African area. You know what I mean? Maury, Ethiopians, and you know, all that. But check these maps out here. It's a map here, and it's going to show you how, exactly how the language. Matter of fact, since we there too, I'm going to show you this before I go over. This is what an Iberian script was found. Now, this would be, if this map is not the way a normal map is. You know, this is actually the way that they were making them back then. So this is what we call the Nile Valley civilization right here, right? And so when you come, it's actually going at like you're going down in the southern aspect. America would actually be further down if you go in that area. But see, this says Atlantis Island, and this is off the north west coast of Africa. That's Mauritania. See Iberis? So when he say Iberis and Mauritania, see the pillars of Hercules right here? They call that the Straits of Gibraltar. This is where our brother Jabal Tariq established what they call, you know, his stronghold or his fortress. And this was known as the Iberian Peninsula. So this language that's called Iberic comes from the area over here, the same area of the Atlantis, the gods of Atlantis. And then it was taken into Kemet, you see? And then from Kemet, it went into, you know, these areas up here through, you just say language spread now, going throughout different areas. That's why you'll find that same script you pointed out earlier that I was talking about, you know, in these areas. Now notice on this map, this old map, Africa wasn't the name of this whole continent. It was just a little corner over here. You see, because that's where Emilius Africanus went into the area, you know, coming dealing with the so-called Roman occupation, and when Carthage was being demonstrated later, you know what I mean? All that was just one corner. That wasn't the whole place. But nevertheless, this is where the Iberic language, you know, first dropped off at, with the gods, Tehuti being here among them. And after the flood and everything from that, what they call the recat structure, you know, which is still over there today, you know, once everything was sunken and Tehuti went over here to the Nile Valley civilization to teach them, he taught Alsar and they civilized, and he took that same Iberic script with him. That's why they can't tell you, well, we don't know where these alphabets come from, like you was reading earlier, sister. But nevertheless, I'm gonna show you, this is a similar map, but it's a little different, but it's still the same thing. See, it's showing Egypt up here, like I was showing you just then. Libya here right now. Libya ain't being shown as the majority of the map on this map, but Libya here, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. Actually, this is the capital empire dominion, the way the prophet teach it in the lessons that we have, right? So the language, you know, traveled from this region, which is dealing with the Atlas Mountains, and like I spoke of earlier, Iberian Peninsula, which they ain't showing here, but we know what it is. And then it went all the way back up into this area. You see what I'm saying? And spread out and so forth and so on. And that's why even the Paleo Hebrew is the same alphabet that they have for the Israelites. It's the same alphabet, that Iberic script. They say, well, Eber also was a seed of what they call it, one of the biblical patriarchs. So this is where Hebrew come from. This is what they'll say. Or they say even the word Africa come from that special measure, that small portion that we see, not the whole continent, but it later became named. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff tied up in here, family. And this map is from 1285, basically. You see, 1280, this is map from 1285. So we got a lot of research to deal with when it comes to it, family. But it's right there if we dig for it. And it's made plain. You know, it's like we said, we got to remember, yeah, we come out of Canaan, right? You know, and you got to look at it. When you say Canaan, many tribes come up out of Canaan. See, that's what people don't know. So you had the ancient Canaanites, then you had the modern Canaanites, and people get them mixed up. You know, you had the ancient Canaanites, the first were known as the Cavemanites. We talked about that before, right? But these were still Canaanites, but they were the Cavemanites because they descend through Adam Cadman, right? You see, and then when you come from them, they migrated over into the area that we called Atlantis, you see, and then they came back from that area once it fell and went into the area of the Nile Valley civilization. You see what I'm saying? Tehuti was the one of the last priest that went and taught them. Tehuti was manifesting himself though everywhere. That's why they call him Hermes thrice the greatest in a lot of the literatures, because they say there was a Hermes of the ancient, Hermes of the Egyptians, and then a Hermes that went over the, you know, because Tehuti means divine mind anyway. So it's simply the divine mind taking on many different garbs, which we call it reincarnation. You see what I'm saying? And that's how it is brought to understand. We can give a whole measure on it, but we don't want to go too far to the left. But all that is relevant to what we're getting at, giving our people more understanding, you know, and so that's why we went there. I wasn't intending to go there, but the spirit, you know, drew me into that special area, you know. Somebody needed to hear that. Islam. So gratitude. And I'm going to stop sharing right here real quick. Well, I ain't sharing no more. I thought I was, but we'll open up the floor again for our Moorish kin that have some homework they want to bring forth. You know, it we just trying to stir up your ethers, Moors. Keep your wheels turning. Islam, Brother Bati Bey, what have you to bring forth?
Islam. First, praise and honor is already given one thing, I don't know. There might be something. I think there's something wrong still with my computer, but I haven't got the lesson. So what I did was I just took I went to go get the script, and I tried to. I'm gonna try to share this screen real quick. Is this it right here? It's not. Okay, so I went and I put these. I only put them side by side, and what I noticed out of these is that there's out of the Meroitic and the Demotic, there's things that are missing. There's ones that are missing out of here, and even when I cross-reference with the Arabic, or the Arabic script, I was noticing that for the you had the a ba ta ta jim ha ka da, and then the DH was missing. The R was there, which looks like the W, and that's the, see over here, the R is right. They have the da and the ra, but that's the symbol that I had for it. But then this is the RA that I linked with that one, with that ra. The za wasn't there. I didn't see the Z in the translation, nor did I get the S. There was, because you have sa, you have C, and then you have say, or yeah. So I didn't know which one was actually sheen, seen, or seen. So I didn't know which one was that. But sa, if you SA sounds like there's the H there, the sa, you know what I'm saying, which would be pronunciation with the H, and then and I got it written down on. I did it all by hand on here, but I didn't. I wasn't able to translate it, put it on the thing, and then it goes back to the capital DHAA, and I didn't find that in there. Also didn't find the ein because I didn't find the ein in the Meroitic script, or for that matter, the Demotic script. I didn't find the ein in there. I didn't find the guy or fa. So they didn't have the GH, they didn't have the F, they had the Q, K, L, M, N, the H wasn't there, but then everything else was. So that's what I found searching through this. And then there's still even ones from the Arabic that doesn't even translate into the Meroitic or the Demotic. So that means it probably was added afterwards, or that's just point blank. It probably was added afterwards in there. And even then, if we're looking at the Demotic script, the Demotic has a lot more, is more, it has more of the script than the Meroitic. So we could tell that certain things that they didn't use or pronunciate in it, or that they didn't take from it, or whatever. But most of the ones that you're going to see that are linking is going to be the Demotic, the Arabic, and what they call the what was the other one? I was going to say helicopter, but I don't think the helicopter. I think there may be some still missing, or might be a little bit more in the helicopter. But with that, that's what I have for the measure. Islam.
In Islam, gratitude for that drawing, grand man. Praise be to Allah. Gratitude for that drawing. And I'm gonna show you something too here, dealing with our measures. And that's a powerful drawing that you brought forth there. I'm trying to pull up our I got the assignment area up here. And these is not that one. It's actually this one here, the lesson. So this is where you're gonna find the real accurate depiction, of these drawings here, but they're still not in the Abjad order.
Islam, if you sharing, it's not showing.
Yeah, I'm finna open it up now. Yeah, I'm getting it for you right now. I'm just trying to segue our way. There we go. You see it now?
Islam.
Okay, right here. So these are the actual lessons that I sent out. I don't know if our family got a chance to go in here. These, like I say, wasn't in Abjad order. You see what I'm saying? But now our family have attempted to do that, you can use these particular measures because this is the whole lesson breakdown. See, the B is still the same here. Remember the Y I was showing you earlier? You see? And so basically what they did here in this particular lesson, because it was already put together, you know, they had the hieratic on the side of it, which is a good drawing because it gives you a certain feel to be able to go into the hieratic. I'd rather be it compared next to that than trying to put some symbols on the side of it, you know, in this particular demonstration, which you'll see certain measures of that later on, but this is the drawing here. So when you look at the letters, like I said, they're not in the abjad order. They have to be put in the abjad order. And in cases where you don't see all of the letters, you know, together, like in the exact order with the 28, it's not that they are not necessarily there. It is that some letters consist of all of those letters together. I'm gonna show you what I mean in a few minutes. You see right here, all of these letters here. So this is the alphabet that you will really be going with if you're going to deal with the Demotic, which is in some of the scripts that our family compared. This is the whole lesson that gives you the ability to go into the grammar and everything else here. See all of these different letters that are here on the side that you don't see, like you said in the other measures as clearly. And I noticed our family didn't really go into this area here, but that's all good and well. Like we say, we'll send these to our family, and you know, as we will begin to continue to move on to our next phase, we'll still have times where we touch on all of these things. So all of these things is giving ones a foundation so they can do the research, you know, and become familiar. See, it even tell you the difference. Remember, I was talking about the G being interchangeable with the K, but we already knew that due to our previous studies, like the D and the T. You see what I'm saying? And so you can look at all of this right here and see the rules for it, so to speak. Like I said, it's not in abjad order. And some of it look as if certain things ain't there. It's breaking down the different dialects and all of that up in here. Of the Hecopter, it gives you the Hecopter here again, which we already familiar with it, but it actually reinforces what you already know and give you an insight here, because all that is relevant dealing with this special lesson, you know. And so, you know, it has little exercises and everything in here. Then it gives you full words now, because you have the alphabet up there. You can now do some drawings in understanding with the word. Like, for example, you know, by identifying these things, we know, okay, that's a Y right there in the transliteration. Oh, that's a letter B right there. You know what I mean? And so you can see these things. They're giving you the letters and what they are spelling. You know, Rome, Luxor, Crete, Ethiopia. You know, they're showing you all the breakdowns here. You see? So this is a good chart here. We encourage our family to go into this because we're going to go further into this in our next measure, you know, dealing with these particular lessons. So be ready for this here. We're going to be focusing on a lot of that there to get us familiar, a little more familiar with the Demotic script, you know. And hold up. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go further into that to give our family some insight so that they become more familiar with the script. And then once we go into other measures, you know, it becomes even clearer. And so when I was speaking a few minutes ago, and I was talking about, let me pull that up again, because I know I had to close out to get to this particular measure here. Go to this other lesson that we was in a few minutes ago, the first Demotic lesson on the PDF we put together. Let me open this up, share the screen. Where it is here. Okay, not there. There we go. Okay, right there. This is what I was speaking on earlier. Go to it here. Okay, here we go. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? The alphabetical chart that I had up here earlier. It's actually not in that chart. It's actually in my other chart. This one right here. Give me 1 second, Morris King. Okay, I know it's probably here in my more PDF. Okay, scroll down here. Okay, right there. Okay, this one here. Let's see, not that one. That one. Okay. Okay, this one here. Give me 1 second more. We got you in a second here. I'm just trying to pull this little chart up for the Moors. There's a specific chart that I'm trying to get right here. Because it's going to illustrate a portion that I have here concerning the glyphs. It's actually a measure that has the hieratic and everything in it beside it. Better yet, the Grand National Secretary of the State actually shared it early. Because I can't dig in here and find it right now. Grand National Secretary of the State, can you pull your measure up again where you had the, where you showed the hieratic next to the pictorial script? Because this is a very important drawing right here that we want to emphasize to our family that way. And it's good that we can bring it up right now. I got it over here, but I got so many PDFs over here.
All right.
Okay.
Screen together.
Okay, it's long. Okay, there it go, right up there, right above your
right here.
The one, that's it right there, Islam. And kind of blow it up a little bit so our family can see it. And
all right, now how am I blowing this up?
in your corner, it should have, that little wide up top up there in the corner up there, right next to that X where you can X out.
Got it. The box.
Yeah, blow it up a little bit. There you go. That's a little better right there. So and basically the letters, if you look at the abjad here, Morris Ken, and you count that, it don't look like, a full 28 letters and so forth and so on. But what you find out here is when you go past the abjad, you see where the W would normally be at, right? You see a V there and you see an F there, right? Right? Like wolf. It's telling you how to pronounce that, especially demonstration when you're pushing it out. But under that, you also see a bunch of letters here. You see a sound with the TH, the TCH, and you see the T in front of that, but you see Z right here, right? Now you don't see Z running down the line because it is equivalent to this special mention. You see, we're not dealing with the symbol on the side. We're actually talking about the letters that are there. You see, so then you have TH. You don't see a letter D in there, but the TH like is like the. You see, DH and TH is equivalent to each other. You see what I'm saying? These are things that we have to have in mind when we're dealing with these languages too, as well. Like you don't see a Y here, per se, but the letter I is there for the letter Y. You see what I'm saying? So when these people were putting these charts together, they were putting them together in the best way that they thought that they can pronounce certain measures. But it still don't change the fact that the letter is what it was. So then when you go all the way down to the S, which would normally be like, they actually have the T in the S right there. You see what I'm saying? And then they isolate the T from that like a soft T. If you know linguistics, you can see that. When you pushing the S out with it, that's a soft T. It's not like the ta. It's, you see what I'm saying? And so beneath that, then you have like the sh. And then you see on the top of that S, a symbol there that denotes that It's more like a sh, sh, sh. You see? And then you see two. That corresponds with the do. You see, that's that T interchangeable with the D demonstration. So the abjad and all the letters are really here, but some of them are a part and partial of other letters, like k, k, k. And that's why you'll see this X ain't meant to be expressed as like the S. It's k, k, k. And you will see that in the helicopter, for example, you know, in certain things. So these are rules that we will learn as we go along, but I know you like, man, it's plain when you can understand it that way. So that's why you don't see certain things in chart. You got to remember, it was people putting these things together. We gonna put it like it's supposed to be as we go along, but we working with what we got. This is an unfortunate situation that we got to do this, but it has to be done in order to put these things in the correct manner. So you're gonna see errors. And it's good that we can see the errors along the way. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That ain't on us. You know, we here to correct the errors. Islam. So keep that in mind as you go through these things. Sometimes the abjad is there, but it's hidden under the form of the linguistics. You see what I'm saying? But you nevertheless see the same thing on the manifest. Because if I were to go into the same chart that Mustafa Gadala had, right? Just going from the top, we got A, B, G, D, H, right? And I got my paper here, you know, going by. Then you have W. Okay, there's your W right there, replaced by the V and the F, right? As we stated. But then you have the Z. Well, there's the Z, right beneath that right there, right? And then you have H. You know, and that H is pronounced in a hard way, like Kim, like just like they took the K and the H out in the word ham, Kim. That's that type of H, basically. You see? Then you got T. So the T is present here, right? Then you got Y. It's replaced by the I, right? Then you got K. The K is still there. Then you got the letter L. The L is there. The M is there, right? Then you got the letter N. It's there. Then you got the letter S, right? It's there. You got the letter A, it's there. The letter F has been interchangeable with the P. Fat, fat, pat, pat. You see what I'm saying? So you have to recognize these things. Then it goes back to the S. Remember I was speaking of this, not the T, but this. You see? You go into that, you know, it's a S, and then this is Sad, Tat, you know, same measure, silent TS type of demonstration. Then you got the letter Q on Mustafa Gadala's chart. There's the Q. Then you got the letter R, right? Then you got the letter right? Then you got again. Now, when we go back for the in all actuality, that was already addressed up top up there, the TH. You see it, Grand? That's, yeah, right up under the KH. It was already addressed there. And the KH on Mustafa Gadala's chart, which is under the is addressed above that. You see, KH. It's still there. And then you got the DH, you know, which go right back to the TH. You see all these really coming off one root, you know, in relation to its essence. Then you go to D. The letter D goes back to the letter T at the end, the last letter. The you see? Then you got the letter Z. We already mentioned that, so we ain't got to go back over that. That's up top up there, beneath the F and the V, as we showed the Moors. And then you got G, which is GH. And that can go in the same realm of the KH in that particular system. So you see what we're getting at is there, but you got to know linguistics in order to go there. And this same type of stuff they actually teach somewhat in the English language when they get into the grammar, and, you know, the silent this, the hard that, you know, in certain measures. But, you know, all of this is actually in these lessons that I have. Like I just showed you in the list when I was showing you the K and the G, you know, so we got to have these knowledge, you know, of these things as well. That way you can also see the evidence of what was remixed or what was changed. But nevertheless, The proof is in this particular chart here, though they have the symbols in it, we can see that this is an original abjad order in this chart right here. Just by tracing each letter, they all went back to the same order base. You see? So that's just a powerful measure in and of its own. That abjad is a real key, and it helps us out, so we can be able to see these things. Islam. So let me stop sharing. Well, I wasn't sharing the Grand National Secretary of State. We give honors to you, sis, for that drawing. And I know that probably moved a lot of cobwebs from our mind, from that aspect. It's a whole nother paradigm shift, but these are things that we have to know. So we want to call on our brother Marvin Edwards Bay at the time, because I want to see him. He got his hand up. We want to see what our brother has to bring forth. Islam, grand man.
Islam.
Yes, sir.
Gratitude. Can you hear me?
Gratitude.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Man, that was a powerful lesson there. Because as I was going through Islam, okay, well, first rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Al-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honors to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act One. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to this class, our Egyptian Adaptive Research Sultanate class, as well as I give honors to you, Dr. Shedua Mintiel Mohed Shepsuel, for hosting our Egyptian Adaptive Research Sultanate class. I give honor to all those that aided in bringing forth this class this morning. I give honor to all those that shared and all those that will share. I give honor to everything that's Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, our divine constitution, our holy command, our book of Ali, our 101s, 102s, our exhuming of a nation. All of our divine revelations I give honor. I give honors to the forerunner, Dr. Marcus Moshe Gabriel, for being our prophet's forerunner, the harbinger. I give honor to our ancestors, whom shoulders we stand upon today. Yeah, very powerful. And yeah, you did remove some of the cobwebs, which I recognized that was there in going through these lessons, you know what I mean? And then the time that's needed, in my mind, I wasn't able to put forth for my own, like a initiative or however you want to put it. But I was able, as I collaborated with Dr. Dendra and the Curtis Bay momentarily. And so I did get the lessons. I had them somehow, pardon me, my throat is getting jammed up. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. What I did was, man, every time I go out of this, I have to bring up the program all over again. And that's just the way it is. Okay, this is how I got to share my screen, right? So apparently I haven't. Let's try this. Okay, can you see me? Can you see my screen? Islam?
Give it 1 second. I ain't seen nothing come up yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't
okay, I'm
seen
gonna
it.
say share.
There you go. Look like it's shared now. There you go, grand man. Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
I see you
All
now.
right. Yeah, so I just started out by basically putting on here what you had actually asked us to do, which was quite a bit. You know what I mean? Once I did get in to see exactly what you said, because before I just like skimmed over it, you know what I mean? Because I thought I knew, but of course I didn't. And so basically, what I did was I actually put on all of the screens that you gave us, and they made sense once you went over them, because like you said, some of them I didn't even say look at, like that lesson 101, Demotic 101. I really saw it, but I didn't really pay much attention to it. So what I did was I you said to Go back up here. Okay, you wanted us to create, well, I didn't do this here, create your own hieroglyphic alphabetical script from English alphabet by transcribing into pictorial symbols of your choice. So that's going to come at a later date for me. I'll be giving my perspective on the demotic words and their isolation, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Okay, but first, to demonstrate comparative research between the Meroitic and the Demotic alphabet strips, then arrange your own ABJ. And, I noticed you wrote it ABJ, but am I correct in you saying that the J and the G is, what is
Yeah, you are right.
equivalent?
That's
Oh,
actually good to say abjad. It's
oh,
either
okay.
way
This
because
is,
the G is interchangeable with the J. See, there you go,
okay.
right there. Islam.
Okay. Okay, Islam. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I'm looking at it because when I went down and after going through the demotic, and I compared this demotic strip here, because I could see all of the English A, B, C, D, F, G, all of them. And so I could hold up and I can compare them to these different, this is the demotic strip, you know what I mean? And just like had earlier, you showed the four. I mean, this symbol here that looked like, or this one that looked like the B. I mean, that they use for B. But I mean, that's going further. I'm complicating it right now. But to bring it back simple, because this was the demonic strip that I compared with, and I had the erotic Moriatic strip right next to it. And of course, it has, okay, there it is. Okay, I use this strip along with the demotic strip. And what I did was I tried to look for, like I thought you was saying, to look for the same letters that were constant from the Muriatic strip and the demotic strip. So that's what I did. So in the demotic strip, now as you were explaining the history, of the strips, the Meroitic strip was first before the demotic. Is that correct? Or was the demotic
No,
before the?
actually, the demotic script came and the Meroitic script came after that time, but they don't never really mention that when they talk about Kemet. The
Uh-huh.
reason why they don't, because the Meroitic script is a Nubian script. You
Okay.
see what I'm saying? Even though the Nubians come from the same lineage of the Cushites, it's a
Uh-huh.
different dynasty. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
they give the succession as far as how the language came into existence in Kemet. But
Okay.
that Nubian language basically was developed off of the Demotic and the Hieratic script, so to speak. Mainly the
Okay.
Demotic script. You see what I'm saying? That Meroitic script come from that. But some
Uh-huh.
people are calling that Meroitic script, they are calling it Demotic. See, that
All
what you're
right.
showing there is really what they refer to in Nubia as Meroitic, but they call it Demotic.
Okay.
Some people, which is, you see somebody put that here, but they really, as I was pointing out earlier, certain letters, I pointed it out to our family after they gave their measures, as some of these letters were just basically put together by people who compiled the charts. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? And that's
Yes,
why we
sir.
showed you in the lesson book, these
Oh,
go
I
to the
I have
accurate,
that.
these go back to the accurate measure. And we're going to get into that in our next phase, so that we
Mm-hmm.
have the exact way. Only thing is, in the lesson book, is not put in the abjad order. And so that's why we were trying to get the family to make their abjad order of the Demotic
Right.
as they
Okay.
exist in the lesson. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it
So, all right. So this is where I'm at. I just went through. Hold up. This is something else here. It's just what I did was, and I just wrote this out. I probably should have used something more darker, so it could. I didn't know how it would come out on the screen. So this is how it come out. I said the Demotic and the Moriatic were the same as and no equivalents. In other words, I went in this Mustafa Gadala Egyptian alphabetical letters of creation cycle, and I wrote down the abjad letters that he have on here. And so I was using this as a template to put the letters in the abjad, and I got, so this is both of them together since there was no J. But anyway, so A, the first letter was A, and this A here is the same as this. Well, it's actually it says Demotic. I didn't realize that that's what it was until later on. So this is Demotic. This is the hieroglyphic.
That's hieroglyph.
Right, hieroglyphic. That's what.
Yeah, because remember in Meroitic language they have a pictorial script in that language. That's not Egyptian though. You see what I'm saying?
So yeah, I have to get to that.
It was based off
eventually.
of the symbols of Egypt, but it was not Egyptian writing.
Okay, that's a revelation there. I didn't really realize that.
Same thing with the Canaanite, proto-Canaanite strip that was found in Mount Sinai. It's based off of the symbols, but it's not an Egyptian writing. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I got you. All right, yeah, that deserves more research on my part, really. Okay, well, to continue, okay, so yeah, I used this A here, and then I went to the B. I'm using this B here because this is the B in here.
That's right. That's right. And they put it in the wrong order, but it's good. It's no problem. That's why we went back to correct it. Because that's the letter B on the end there. At the top end of the line. Remember I showed you? Go back where you was on that chart.
Coming on here. Okay.
Yeah. See, that's the letter B. No, go back.
Yeah. Okay, right here.
What right up top, in the right corner up top.
Right here. That's what I was looking at.
There.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But okay, but this is how it got.
You had the letter B that's over there to the left of that A. Right, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Because that's how they put it in that chart. So I understand you will bring it that way. But I put that out there so that if people seen the real Demotic chart, ones will put it together. What you did, my brother, was good because you did something I was wondering what some of our Moors do. You went to the abjad sequence and put it alongside the words and used it. So I was expecting some Moors to be swift and do that, and you did that. Grand National Secretary of State was swift, in the fact where she took them letters and put them beside the symbol like she did, and how she broke her abjad down and didn't really have to go through the whole thing. But you put the whole alphabet up there. So that's adept, you know what I mean? But I'm just pointing out the measures, and showing you the drawings on. It's not us that had to do with being incorrect. We correcting, those who put some of these charts together. That's why I asked for the comparison between the two. Because there was a measure there, a dilemma there. You got me?
Yes, sir. And that's Islam. Yeah, and that's that's why as I started getting into this, I saw the enormity of it. To having to come from zero, which is not a bad point.
That's right. And zero. Next million.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And go into what they did.
That's
to try to get to where what we were. And because it's all within us. I know. And so it's, and what you are doing in my eyes is to expand our minds. It's expanding my mind. So because before, I could look at this and wouldn't have the slightest idea. You wouldn't have any direction. But I appreciate all that you do. And bringing us forth, and it's all in me purifying my heart and mind so that I won't allow that lower self to want me to quit, so to speak.
That's right. That's right, brother. We got to let you swim through the crocodiles in order to get to the pyramid.
Yes, sir. I feel that.
But you got to use brain power to know that them crocodiles over there.
Absolutely. That's the whole thing. yeah, because this ain't no joke. This is the real deal. This is, life, life terms. And but we were equipped. The great God gave us everything that we need to accomplish what we will, and our will is His will. And yeah, okay. And so continuing on down this Gemel. I looked at this symbol here, which probably this one here. This is the one I use, which is also upper and lowercase g, the way they got it. And as I continued on, the D, the doll, is this one, like here. Yeah, I mean, this is one I use. I mean, they may have it in different orders or whatever. Maybe, I forgot how you call them when you dyslexic or something like that. And
They
the
actually
E,
got two charts there. You notice that, right?
some of the top and the bottom.
Yeah, they got ABCs in the capital, ABCs in the uppercase.
Right. And then the
See what I'm
lowercase, right.
saying? See,
Right.
that's almost like a quiz, so to speak. You know what I mean? Put on the manifest to see if you can catch it. You see what I'm saying? It's training the eye basically to be able to see what it is you're looking at.
Right,
That's all.
right. Okay. And I noticed like how I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, bro.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just saying, go ahead. I was just aiding and encouraging you along the way.
Okay, gratitude. And I just noticed that they got these here, and well, that means that they didn't have any straight out equivalent to these letters.
But those are separation marks.
Yeah, and I didn't understand what that meant by separation mark.
Yeah, they separate. That's how they separate words and put like they put those in. If you look at Mirror-itic and it's written out, you'll see those in between it, and that would mean that those are different words. See, it's a word divider at the bottom.
Right down.
See what I'm saying?
Right here. Yes, sir. I saw that, but yeah, I saw it was representing this, but you know,
right. See, I don't expect you to know these things, off rip. But us going back and forth like this, it gives us the ability to point it out, when you ask the question. That's why it's always necessary to say, what is this? We giving honor to you, brother. I'm encouraging you now. I ain't trying to. I like what you're doing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, that's the only way. That's just like when the chairman correct you, don't take it like he's, kind of down you. He's giving you the truth. You know what I mean? So that you can continue forward. You know what I mean? Right. And long as we keep our ego out of it, that lower ego, we good. I mean,
that's right.
That's right,
brother.
Gratitude. And so basically this is the whole thing. I just went through it and took out what I saw that both was in the Demotic strip and Mirror-itic strip. And when there wasn't an equivalent, I just went back to some of the earlier PDFs that you sent us, like the one that had this symbol here. It's like an E, an ayin. You know what I mean? It wasn't in these two strips. It was in one of the earlier charts that you had gave us. And so,
and the ayin is really, it's a symbol that it gives. And like in the Arabic, they'll just use a look like a comma mark in certain cases. You see what I'm saying? And other languages. Matter of fact, when you go into the script in the lesson, the one you say you didn't get a chance to look in, you're gonna see of the ayin symbol right there at the top.
I might have it. I think I don't know. Yeah, there was too many pages for me to like copy it and put it in. I have it in front of me. Yeah, I have it in front of me. Yeah. And I would definitely go back through this lesson here. And because like you said, as you was pointing out, there's a lot into it. But a lot of the symbols that was in the hierarchy, I kind of like dismissed because I couldn't really make it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It ain't time for us to go into hieratic yet, but we're going there after this language.
Okay.
But in some of them charts, you'll see like the one I showed you, what the Grand National Secretary of the State pulled up before us. They have the hieratic right there next to that symbol. But in the lesson, that Demotic lesson number 1, it has the hieratic right beside the Demotic language.
Right.
So, you
I
know,
see that.
it'll be some exercise. That's the one, how you just did this here.
Yes,
You
sir.
want to put those letters on the side of that abjad sequence. there.
Okay. I
You
got
see
you.
what
I
I'm
can just put
saying?
it right over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, them letters in the lesson number 1, you want to put them because they ain't in abjad order. You
Right,
see what I'm
right.
saying?
Okay,
And so,
I got you.
so we ain't holding it out there like, oh, the Moors didn't go into that measure. That's why we're
Mhm.
pointing it out now. You know, those are the correct one because that's what's gonna give us a footing in going into
Okay.
this language because it's a whole bunch more, like by 6, 7 different lessons that go deeper
Mhm.
into the words. But you
Oh,
know,
okay.
the actual order in the alphabet is not in abjad order in that lesson. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And
Yes,
that's what
sir.
made us come forth with that. So you did a good job with what you did here. You just be
Okay.
better to use that other alphabet in the Demotic lesson that we had.
Right.
I'm gonna send a lot more to others too after we do the
Mhm.
next one, because you know we'll have a foundation in it after that. Islam.
Right. Yeah, Islam. You're right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, because I got to go through and read all it because it has a lot of information in it. Got Coptic and dialects and
That's right.
you know everything. You know what I mean? Talk about the determinatives and transliterations and yeah, it's a lot of information in there. But like yeah, I would definitely have to take time out to really really study that as well. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? And then I can be more proficient in what we're doing. So I mean,
Islam.
like if that's I mean that's just to show you where I had went with this. Like this particular page here, I couldn't make anything out on here, so I didn't even look at it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I'm sure
that's
that
basically really the universal alphabet that basically shows you all the like the Iberian script that we were talking about earlier, the Phoenician, which they like to try to call Koine Greek. You
hmm
know, that script has been given so many names, Paleo Hebrew, and the reason is because that was the universal language that was one that ended up being scattered abroad over the earth after the Tower of Babel period. Everybody
wow,
was dealing with that particular alphabet, you know, and it was spread abroad. That's the one that everybody, different nations communicated with each other with. But these
yes,
other
sir.
scripts that we see with the different characters, these were specific to those nations. So it was like this universal lingua franca, so to speak, right?
hmm
For all the people speaking it, trading and communication. But then there was a language the people had for themselves that they spoke, that dealt
Right.
solely with their culture. You see what I'm saying? And
Yes,
that's
sir.
what this, you know, scripts like the Demotic, the Hieratic, the Hecopter, all of those measures are what we call, you know, the second inshat, you know, want to get into
Yes, sir.
using those words too. We saying Demotic because that's what we have to come into. So yeah, that's basically what that chart, it's going to become useful in the later periods of what we demonstrate. And as Mustafa Gadala tell you what he's at, the thing go over to 5,000, 7,000 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And see, that also has to do with us correcting the timeline. You know,
Right.
according to the way the
Right.
European has put it out there, we're going to come forth with our own timeline and everything, you know, as it relates to what we demonstrate. But that'll be after we, you know, begin creating the languages and putting things on the manifest. Islam.
Islam. You know, when you talk about the timeline, um Dr. Tori Anu Rasul Simpson Bay actually put me on these charts, these mindful charts. But you know, and they have, you know, like they got a lot of information on there. But yeah, I can see we definitely have to go through and rearrange the time slots. Some of the time slots are pretty on, but then they got different things in it. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
really a lot to be done. Um, but
Yeah, because
yeah,
think about their year one. Like they
right.
just come out of nowhere and created the year one, and whatever time they created their time chart system was really during the time of the Indologists. You know, because
Mm,
before that they were going according to a lot of the Hindu timeline, and also
hmm
the before that in the scriptural aspect they were dealing with the Enochian calendar, which is based off of Tehuti's calendar. And so
mm,
these are the things that we gonna bring forth, you know, to bring the timeline from an ancient into a modern time. Then we also gonna deal with our Moorish foundation that we have as well with our Moorish calendar. Because let's just take the symbol, just dealing with time briefly. When we talk about 7 days in a circle, 7 days in a year, and so forth and so on. Well, think
Yes,
about
sir.
that. If a year to us represents 7 days, and you really break this down, you say, well, okay, 7 times 52 is what? 364, right?
Sure.
So if that is the case,
Yes.
you know, we can say, okay, 7 times 52, that's 52 weeks, right?
Right.
52 weeks is a year, right?
Yep.
But 5 plus 2 is 7, right?
Yes, sir.
But deeper than that, you know, that 7, you know, that we're dealing with multiplying it, they say, well, really, it ain't but 364 days when you go in and count everything up to the leap year, then they make another day on to it, and then that becomes 365. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yes, sir.
So if you go into the essence of it, in all actuality, that 365 concept, or 360 in itself, go back to the Egyptian or Kemetian calendar. You see what
Okay.
I'm saying? So
Yes,
when
sir.
we break everything down, let's look at it now from this standpoint. If we say it's 7 days in a year, we can say, well, them 52 weeks represent 52 years, according to our calendar.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And if you go and do time based on that right there, you realize, oh, it get a little greater. You know, now multiply them 52 years, you know, time, whatever you want to go, you know, you just keep going further back.
Right.
Compare that to the present time you in now, and then take it back to, you know, that calendar. It's gonna go into a different time frame than the way they give it. You see what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying?
Yes, sir.
And
You know
that's
what?
what
As
we get in.
pardon, so yeah.
No, you
As
good,
you were
brother.
speaking and you was talking about the 364 and 5, you know, it was pretty close to 360.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm
When you
saying?
round it
Going
off.
into that
That's right.
circle, you know what I'm saying?
That's
So
right.
yeah, I mean, very revealing, really, when we get into this.
That's
But
right.
yeah, so I mean, I won't tarry, but this is where I'm at. You know, this is, you know, but you've gave me some very powerful pointers as to, you know, I mean, going into it and really putting that lesson 1, you know what I mean, that's what I need to do now, is get all of those transliteration and the actual demotic and the hieratic letters or representations, and put them on something separate so that I can better, you know, I mean, grasp it and study it and record it, so to speak, in my mind. So I would just say gratitude for allowing me to share.
Yes,
What
sir.
else you
It's
want me to say?
long.
Okay. All right.
And
Gratitude.
gratitude, grand man. And also, you know, I mean, if you want to study them together, nothing wrong with that, because they in the lesson together. But when you get into that chart, that demotic lesson, that's what we encourage all our Moorish kin. And this is beforehand. This is in the advanced measure. Before we even go into our next measure, ones can start studying that lesson 1 and become proficient. Just like the helicopter, we didn't really have to spend, even though we did like 4 different lessons, you know, on the helicopter, you know, we didn't have to spend a whole lot of time, because when you look at the helicopter, you can look at it, and like I was showing you in them different slides, you can see what some of them things actually say, you know, so it don't take a whole
Right.
lot to understand, because a lot of that, you know, if you understand the English and the Latin, you know, and all that type of stuff, you can see the connections between it. And so, like I said, but we have to go back and, you know, just sharpen ourselves up if we want to truly learn these things. Like we said, we're not trying to teach, you know, that particular language per se. We are showing you the identification of it and tracing it back, because we're trying to get to the point where we can start building on our own. We don't want to spend too much time trying to get into the other measures, you know, other
Right.
than
Right.
making you familiar with them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So we don't want to burn our people out on just dealing with a language here, because it'll take, you know, a long time to just focus on, let me do this language, that language, that language,
Right.
when I can
Right.
do a basic level of giving a masterful course that'll let you see it, where you can go if you want to, and go into that. I want to know more about that. I want to be able to become more knowledgeable. And that's on you to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's giving
Yes,
each
sir.
student room for growth, you know, if
Sir.
they interested in those areas. But we have to have this base knowledge that we're doing in order to get
Right.
back to, you know, this language. Because had we not went over there and I'd have just, now think about it, if I'd have just started talking to you from a level of Demotic, I'd have had a lot of complication along the way because we didn't lay a foundation of going back. That's why we trace ourselves back. Instead of starting from, okay, we're going to start from Demotic. This is what it is. And now I got to make references to the helicopter. You know, I got to make references to this stuff because you don't know what it was, but now you have a basis, you got a foundation in it, you see? And that's why it was necessary for me to go back through those special states. Islam.
Islam. That's why I say, you know, you're a masterful teacher, because at first I'm saying like, man, it's too much. You know what I mean? I ain't with it, but you know what I mean? As I push forward, I got the gist of it. Gratitude, God, man. Islam and people.
Islam. That's right. That's right. That's why I told you. I said, these Moors up in here ain't scared, you know. A lot of our families say, we ain't finna do that research. I'm jumping off this demonstration. But that's all right, because those who are here are on the forefront to keep this demonstration going. And see, we can use this principle in every situation. Like we always say, no Moorish American, don't stop the show. You know what I mean? So basically, we keep it moving and these things are archived. When we go to demonstrate and we start talking in these terms, all of those individuals who chose not to come forth, we ain't got time to be going back because you had the opportunity to be here. You see what I'm saying? So we don't want to hear nobody. I don't understand what the that second grand sheet, they talking in this old language. We're going to teach our people, don't get me wrong. But the more that has this knowledge that we're doing, make it easier for us to communicate. Because what we're doing, we're creating an environment that becomes culture now. And the best way to learn a language is by being immersed in it. If you're not immersed in it, it's gonna be hard, especially if you ain't got the drive or the wheel. You know, I don't know about nobody else, but man, I've been enjoying seeing my Moorish kin. Man, I just can't wait to see them, like the Grand Secretary, to say, all y'all, you yourself, you know, y'all, and all of y'all are bringing a portion, even though you may not think that I'm doing. No, y'all basically doing exactly what was meant to be done. That was masterful, just by you just being able to say, all right, I'm gonna take the abject. Because I was wondering, I wonder if some of our Moorish kin gonna say, all right, now let me go to the demonstration and put the abject order, and you did that. You see, I wonder, like in our Grand Secretary of State, like I said, she put the symbols right there, she did it. For those who say, well, all right, I'm gonna do this part, that's good. Because it's still, all of the lesson was still covered. You know, all of those points that we made were still covered. But they were meant to be, again, a challenge. Because that's how, especially when we're dealing with being skilled and adept, you have to put the challenge out there as well, to where you ain't just, all right, we're going to feed you out the hand. Now we got to like, all right, you're going to take this demonstration right here, and you got to swim or sink. You know, we got to put measures out there, because it fires up the neurons. We say, get us to thinking. Islam. So gratitude, family. We love you, and we right there with you, you know. So man, these Moors powerful. Islam, is there any other Moor that would like to bring forth a measure before we go to our national officials? Islam. Questions, comments? Our brother Leroy Larrabee.
Islam, Dr. Larrabee. Praise Allah, honor to the Prophet, honor to this custodian research class, honor to you, Assistant Grand Chief. Masterful job always. I was just, I should be listening in and mini grand demonstration. And so I can't see the charts or anything. But listening to the Moors, you know, and I think you were saying one aspect of you were taking some of the symbols and compared them to I use the English alphabet. And if I'm correct in thinking, I was thinking of the symbol of a bird in the glyphs, or the letter, and compared to the English letter L or lamb. Is that how your lesson being presented?
But yeah, one point, that was the last point, and it was the purpose of the point was to let our family see how the European basically remix, the teaching to make people think that the symbols was the language. So our Grand
Right.
National Secretary of State did a masterful measure. She went in and she did it masterfully. She took like the T, and then she compared that to, the Ankh symbol, so to speak. She took symbols like the circle and compared it to what looked like the circle, and different letters she put together beside it, and it will be convincing, if one looked at it by the way she set it out. But nevertheless, we are showing how easy it was to remix, the perception of our people thinking that the language is symbols as opposed to being, alphabets, and so that was the purpose on why she was comparing them, so that one can have a hand-on experience to see what E. Wallace Budge them had done. Islam.
Right. You're right. So the symbol in the clip is a symbol of the eye, and so that was equivalent to the English letter I, or the 9th letter of the English alphabet I.
See what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Just like you did right there. You were showing, that's what we're saying. In all actuality, it's the letter I. It's not really the symbol. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, but that's how it's showing how easy it is. And we chose the English language because that's the language we speak. But we're saying this is basically what they did with the hieratic, and this is what they did with the demotic, so to speak. And we got the charts to prove it because they got it right there beside it. But now these symbols, being that they already did it, like I said, the only way out of the fire is through the fire. Being that they done already dealt with the damage control, ones can actually utilize those symbols that's beside the letter, since they put them there, to be able to identify letters when they too jumbled, when you're trying to transliterate something. Nothing wrong with that. But it's just understanding that those symbols were used for a different purpose, which is metaphysical. And they were not the alphabet. Because that's basically all they did. But they did it with ill intent because they was trying to hide the alphabet up under them symbols. And now you'll be over there trying to translate symbols instead of alphabets. Islam.
Right. Okay. Now, last question. When you saying comparing them back to the abjad, so if you took the letter L, 12th letter of the English alphabet, and you go to Mustafa Ghazala, the 12th letter is L, dealing with divine covenant. So that's how you lining up with the abjad order.
Okay, now when you were comparing your abjad, that was the abjad concerning the Meroitic and the Demotic. The English alphabet wasn't involved in that measure. The English alphabet was used for the Medu Netta purpose. We had 3 different phases. And the Meroitic, it was the comparative Meroitic and the Demotic, because people were saying Meroitic and Demotic was the same. And we showed the real chart, which deal with the Demotic lesson #1 that we got. But then we were saying also put it in abjad order, and Marvin Edwards Bey actually did that. But he did it with one of the other charts, but he had the right idea. So it wasn't the English that we were trying to abjad. It's the more Meroitic, or the Demotic we were trying to, because they were not in the, correct order. Islam.
Okay, Islam. Okay, I see you saying. All right. Well, gratitude. It's been a grand class.
Yes,
Islam.
sir. And gratitude for that measure, grand man. We give honors to you and all that you do. So it's been a powerful demonstration here. Islam. Well, all right. I see that every more is spoken on here. I see our brother Swift Angel 151 is there. Is there a measure you would like to bring forth, brother, on your observation? Brother Swift Angel 151, before we go to our officials? If you're there. Because I know our brother be working too on the weekends sometime. I think he may be probably off to the side. So what we'll do, we'll go to our officials so we can close out. And we're going to call forth again, our Grand National Secretary of the State and our chairman, if he's there. If not, we know she represents the tribe of endurance. Islam.
Islam, gratitude. The chairman's not available. Islam Moorish can, having already risen, given honor. praise and honor where due. I just wanted to come from a mode of gratitude for the forum that is provided, and as our Moorish kin have stated, for your patience, Dr. Shaheed, because I tell you, and I'm so glad that you move as the spirit moves. And well, let me show my Moorish kin this, and just the pictures, the maps. I'm telling you, it's, so many paradigm shifts. And law itself, as Dr. Edwards Bay was speaking about, will have the tendency, just like I can't even think of the name right now. It was all too great for him, when it was dealing with Yehoshua. But see, that's the thing that we have got to, in essence, go through the fire, because ego, attachments, all of these things that keep us bound to the manifest, it's designed for us to work through that in a conflict that cannot be told in words. Because once we are able to rise above that negative, you can't do this, or how you going to remember all that, and just looking at the meeting that was there last night, you had a masterful demonstration with the brother, and were able to go, wherever he went, you were able to meet that, so it's these classes and having us go do the research enables us to have a broader universal order of things, as opposed to an up the street, round the corner mentality. And it makes you do the studying so that you are able to be what you know. And again, this is not an overnight demonstration, because prior to coming into Moorish science, it was 20-some years of thinking in a black limited concept, or in essence, a dead state of mind. So it's not going to take overnight for us to get these degrees, but we have to be able to trust our the God within ourselves, that we are the question and the answer. And a lot of times, like when I go to demonstrate, I might have something written on a paper as far as jotting down, so I'm not failing recall. But if Allah says you speak on that, and that's what we have to get more into, being able to trust the God within ourselves, or the Hierophant within, that we're getting exactly what we need at the time we need it. That was another area for me. Like if I had to step away to take care of something else, and Lord self wanted to rise up, I'm missing something. Why? And and this was years ago. Well, you are where you're supposed to be. So even though you may miss it as far as on a manifest level, if it's meant for you to have, it's going to come back around and you receive it at the time where Allah brings forth or deems fit. So I just want to give much honor and gratitude, because, and that's why I say we can't afford to take any of these lessons for granted, because for too long we have been without. But that was through divine wrath, because of what our people, as far as turning our back on. So we have to recognize the important role that we play, because we are who we've been searching for or waiting for. So I just want to give you much honor more for bringing these keys forth, the history forth, the language, the maps, and it's all, pieces of a puzzle that are finally unfolding into how great we are as a people. So gratitude, much honor to you, Dr. Shaheed, Afwan, and to our theocratic government and all of our Moors, because as you stated, every Moor had a piece to come, to bring forth the unfolding of this grand and special class. So, just from a mode of gratitude, much peace and love. Islam.
Islam and gratitude and peace and love, Grand National Secretary of the State. Want to give honors to you. And speaking of certain references and measures, since I got it, and I'm glad my little screen working good right now for some reason, I can show my books now. But this book, I got the God code, right? I just brought it not long ago. Want the Moors to get this one in their archives. It's a powerful demonstration right here too. Because see, outside of us going into the language, once we get it breaking things down, we gonna get into the geometry, you know, especially when we get into the symbolic, the metaphysical. See, these are whole other aspects of dealing with the language. When somebody come to deal with a Moorish American Muslim coming out this government and language, we gonna be adept in it. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna be able to get the best of all of that from us. And that's what it's really preparing us for. You know, and it was a measure mentioned here, and watch how powerful this demonstration is. Because Mustafa Gadala, the Egyptian alphabetical creation cycle, all that's going to be utilized in our higher lessons dealing with the language. You know, in this book, in the chapter dealing with the mysterious Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, right? You hear me talk about the book of creation, but I never really reflect upon the Sefer Yetzirah. When I'm saying it, I'm just talking about reading the book of creation. But nevertheless, in this portion, as the brother was talking about being able to decipher the code, God eternal within the body, you know, being able to translate text and numbers, you know, into certain codes and read these things in us. You know, he was speaking here, and I remember reading this years ago because I got breakdowns on a lot of this stuff from 20 years ago that he talking about right here, because I was dealing with the gematria and the codes back then. But he said the first chapter begins by starting that our world is a result of three kinds of information recorded in three distinct volumes. Text, which is Sefer, that's S-E-P-H-E-R. Then the next, which is number, that's S-E-P-H-A-R, Sephar, right? And then communication, which is support, which is S-I-P-P-U-R. From these three books, the text continues. He, God, created the universe, right? And so the brother went to breaking this down. And this is a European Greg Braden. You know, he got a universal drawing on this right here. But he says, through the reminder of the Sefer Yetzirah, the narration describes God's act of creation with progressively greater levels of detail in each chapter. From the formation of the first elements of the universe represented the Hebrew letters of God's ancient name, to the way remaining letters of Hebrew alphabet form all that was ever formed. And it says the universe unfolds before our eyes as precise combination of these letter elements with the letter of detail, unparalleled in other creation stories. The Sefer Yetzirah offers precise instructions as to how the 22 letters interact with one another to create the stuff our world is made of. Now, for those who don't know, the 22 letters is the base root of the abjad. You see? And then the other letters that are added on to it, those 6, you know, some people add 3, some people add 2. You know, all those are variations that come from other languages, but the base abjad is really those 22. You see? And now the powerful measure in this special drawing family, in this gematria, that was pointed out here, say when all of the combination of letters are taken into account, arranged graphically, as a circle, he said there are 231 lines that connect the possibility. Automatically, my mind went to the line of divinity connecting the matter. You see the line of divinity and matter. Also, it made me think about the scientific expression of string theory, on how at the modes of life, when you go beyond the infinitesimal measures dealing with the what we call beyond quarks and atoms and all this here, there are strings or geometrical shapes in relation to dealing with strings. For example, the 5-pointed star, you know, is an example of string theory, you know, drawing a line and going from one point until you finish it. So you look up string theory, you'll see what I'm talking about. But all of these things come from vibratory measures. Now, let me tell you something. Me and the Sheik was talking about this last night. Dealing with this knowledge of gematria and having this knowledge of the science of the theory of the strings, one can tap into their divinity. You know, actually, me and Brother Bachman Bey was speaking, you know, as well. And when you, I don't know if people have ever seen it, and you can do it better when you go in the sun. That's why a lot of people like to meditate in the sun. If you go out there in this special area, you will see, if you ever seen this, because these are physical things now. Those small they are,
Breaking up,
quarks
bro.
and atoms. Islam, what you say, brother?
I said you were breaking up. I don't know whether it's your internet or whatever, but for a minute we couldn't understand you. I couldn't understand.
Okay, Islam. It may be going in and out, but yeah, gratitude. So when you deal with this concept of string theory, right? Basically, in comparing it to when you go into a state of meditation, if you ever seen, because these things are physical, atoms are physical, quarks are physical, they're small. They say, well, you can't see them with it. Yes, you can see them if you observe well enough. Like me, for example, I can look because I learned the art of being able to do it, and I can see it. It's almost side-eyeing, but focusing forward at the same time, if I can put it in that aspect. And you can actually see the ethers vibrating around you. Somebody that got hit across the head before, they call it seeing stars. But there's a way that you can see these things without seeing stars, getting hit in the head. That's the purpose of meditation, being able to identify these things around you, right? Why? Because once you are able to identify these, you see the ethers vibrate. You hear them doing the meditation. Why? Because they say Om is the sound that actually brought creation into being. They say that's the sound that was supposed to be made after the Big Bang. Vibration. There's a commercial, well, not a commercial, but a measure online that shows vibration. I'm gonna show you in a minute. You know, I'm gonna show you that in a second, because this is noteworthy right now. Another measure, spirit guide me right now. What basically happens is as you vibrate, you are able to direct, you know, these special forces, Moorish kin, you know, into the universe. I used to tell our family, like when one of our Moorish kin go into a state of maybe having to go through some illnesses they got over, you know, create this bow of love, you know, and shoot that demonstration, you know, a healing into the, you know, the ethers or whatever, you know, to send about a healing vibration to our Moorish kin. You know, that ain't just with talk. That's like literally, you see yourself doing this, creating this out of this energy and sending that into the ethers to heal one. You know, we demonstrated that when it came on many different measures, you know. But nevertheless, when you do this, this is why we say the power exerts itself for the individual at the will of the use. That's why we talk about the difference between the force and the power. See, we showing you how to make these things applicable, Moorish kin. And this is all dealing with language and vibration, mathematics. You see, so nevertheless, when you speak these things forth, you are able to harness those ethers and create conditions to heal yourself. You can heal other people, and you can also manifest, you know, things, so to speak. I'm gonna just leave it like that. We'll get into that later because that's another measure, but you know, I'm urged to go that way, but I'm gonna also show you a caution here that I seen that he didn't put in here per se, but I said, let me do the gematria on this number that he gave. Because he said, when all these combinations of letters are taken into account and range graphically as a circle, there are 231 lines that connect the possibilities, meaning the possibilities of what can be demonstrated, possibilities of man. It says the Sefer Yetzirah identified these lines as 231 gates, right? It says we will see in chapter 6 through one of these gates, we are given insight into the message in ourselves. Now watch how deep this goes. Now that's a great responsibility to be able to hone into the knowledge of the cells, because this information in the wrong hands can be misused. So I say, well, let me do the gematria on this right here. So I started searching 231, right? And this was just on a basic level. I didn't do a real deep research in it. I just went to 231, and this is what came up, right? United States Code 231, restriction of access by minors to materials commercially distributed by means of World Wide Web that are harmful to minors. And so I applied that measure. I say, this knowledge in the hands of one that is not developed properly can be harmful to others because they'll misuse it, you know, but I did that just by the geometry and it pulled that up, just doing that. And so I applied that and say, well, that means that there's a responsibility with this information. You can't just go out here and say, all right, we demonstrate, because you wouldn't put an arsenal in the hands of a baby. You know what I mean? You wouldn't put the button to blow up the world right there next beside them. So this is where sacredness comes into place. You see what I'm saying? Keeping things sacred, you know, and so forth and so on. I like the chairman said, it ain't in the possession of a thing, but the use of a thing. You know, so our ancestors, in other words, would place things in code and symbol to protect our people from themselves. And that's why certain priests knew these things, but you had to come in through that process of sacredness and those measures that they demonstrated in order to really get that science. They wasn't just out there giving these things on the manifest and putting it all out there, and you know, and it didn't have nothing to do with a Western Freemasonic thought pattern. They just knew that the truth in certain cases out of season can harm those who don't know no better. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can tap into, I'm gonna give you a prime example. I was watching a movie, and I wouldn't put that on here because I don't want to scare nobody. I seen a movie yesterday, and I want you boys to, because you know the Europeans big for this stuff. They made a movie, and me and the God woman watching it. It's called The Exorcism of God. I ain't never seen such craziness in my life, but it was a lot of stuff in there, keys in there. You know, they like to make them old horror movies. So this demonstration was so demented and twisted, right? So where the demons had the priest in the chair exercising God up out of him. I said, now they done went away. I command the spirit of God to come up at you. I say, goodness gracious. You know, and the crazy part about it, it was so crazy. Where the priest was praying, you know, and he was supposed to be dealing with, you know, they get in front of the cross. You know how they do it in the Catholic Church. He done went in there to pray, the whole cross missing and the Jesus piece missing from up there. So he looking around that thing, you know, you hear something run through the room. And he looked around and he go to look and there's somebody over there in the corner crying. You know, this Jesus on the cross over in the corner crying, he turned around, he the demon. Goodness gracious. So he wrestled with this a long time. But there was the priest, and it was the brother off of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Jeffrey, that played the butler. He was the priest, and he had told this man, because he ended up failing his exes, he told him he wasn't prepared yet, already yet. So he went and performed that exorcism, and it didn't go well. You know what I mean? He ended up basically passing the demon into himself because he fell into a lustful spirit, and it went into his daughter, because that's who was trying to bring God up out of him in the chair, whooping him with blood like they whoop somebody with holy water. But the thing is, when he confessed what he had done, you know, that he failed his initiation, oh, that wasn't supposed to have to become powerful. Then he went to whooping the demons. He was whooping them like somebody get whooped with a belt. But nevertheless, I say this is crazy because it showed one instance of the same Jesus coming off the cross that they had up here, right? He come around the corner dragging the cross. I said, they got the devil supposed to be dragging a symbol that's supposed to be righteous to them. I said, these people done lost their mind. You know what I mean? And so looking at these things, family, and it wasn't really doing them, but showing you the true nature of these things. This particular individual had went into a state, and he ended up making a pact with the devil in order to so-called deliver children that was supposed to be dealing with spirit. Because, you know, the brother Jeffrey, he ended up dying because they got him, the demon. He had sold his soul. He didn't tell him that, but he had told him in the end, he said, man, your prayer didn't work. Why it didn't work? He said, you got something you hide, something you did. He hadn't told him that he failed, but they was praising him and everything for how good of a priest he was for casting the demon out this woman. And then he ended up getting the tape And he wanted to tell the Vatican, but he didn't tell him. Then he finally burnt the tape. But then he recorded the confession, and he sent that confession that he had failed to the people, because they gave him big check and money and everything, you know. And so once he sent that back in the end, when that brother was getting ready to die, he told him, he said, don't make a deal. He said, once you make a deal, you can't go back. So he made a deal, because like it was like on the edge of, the children was dying. They were literally on the bed dying, because this devil wanted to take these children. And he said, well, I'll let them come out your daughter if you give me your soul, you know, and I take the children, because they were trying to exercise the God out of him, you know. And you know, that was to try to make it seem like, okay, see, God, we got more power to get. And so he did it. And in the end, he walked out as a man, like nothing was wrong, everybody praising him and all this stuff here. And the same priest that came to him, he come on the manifest and was standing beside him. And I personally believe the way it was given, they already knew that stuff was going on, because he basically was saying that, you know, this stuff right here ain't nothing, you didn't do nothing wrong, and you sacrifice your life, you know, or whatever, this for the greater good or for these people. But now you going into a state of hellacious condition, you know, because that's what happened to Jeffrey. You know, the demons came and ate him up, you know, after that. So it's crazy that they were showing certain depictions, because they deal with that type of stuff. And I'm saying that to say this: when one is not pure, because that principle applies universally. You know what I mean? We ain't talking about dealing with what your way of life is, because we know that, you know, there have been histories recorded. The Vatican just have more that's actually on tape, where they trying to exorcise demons and all this type of stuff. You know, ones don't supposed to play with this type of information, is what I'm getting at, you know, without having a pure heart and a pure mind. We ain't talking about casting out no, I know I ain't trying to cast nobody deep. Who knows, you know, the great God Allah may have us on a mission one day. We might have to lay hands on somebody and get them out of them, you know. But you definitely got to be pure, you know. If you don't, and Jeffrey told him, he said, if you not, he said, the devil will consume your soul, because he's gonna come through you with your weakness. You know how the Granddad Secretary talked about doors you don't observe? He thought he was ready. He went in there, and that devil know all your secret sin, your lower self. And so he said, well, yeah, I remember when you demonstrated this. It take you way back to when you was NBC. And if you go weak into that special urge, now that demonstration will consume you. And then you open up a gateway and allowed yourself to come into a possessive force. So this is, you know, dealing with these languages, family, and vibrations is not anything to play with. So that's why, you know, we saying that you don't get this type of stuff, you know, to somebody just to give it to them. To say, I got it. People talking about, I'm dealing with the Comedian knowledge and the hecker, and all right, keep playing. You know what I mean? Keep talking about, I'm going out there in the astral realm, you know, and I'm gonna do this right here, and you ain't got the right intent. You know, that's another thing. You know, so all of these things are tied more in connection. But I wanted to bring you that there, because it was talking about giving insight into a message of ourselves. And when you get down to the cellular level, you're talking about ethers, vibrating ethers. You can move things. Cells exist in everything in creation, in all actuality. An apple has cells, if you really look at it. Atomic, you see. A tree has cells when you look at it, not to the extent that we have it in the fleshly form, but there are cells within everything in creation. And with this knowledge, you know, on the aspects of the way we taught it kemetically through the metaphysics and the symbols, you learn that knowledge to scientifically be able to build upon that and heal yourself, you know, build a better community, build a better state of mind, and so forth and so on. But we'll get to that when we get to it, you know. But I just thought I'd mention that, since we were talking about, you know, how numbers and math and all of these things are attached to the abjad. If you look on the side of it, go all the way 1 up to 1,000. So all these things have credence to them and a reason for being there. So Islam, Moors, I just wanted to get that drawing, and we say gratitude for everything you brought on the manifest. And like we say, we encourage our Moors to go into that lesson 1, you know, and scan over it And this will be where we end up going in our next class concerning the Demotic, and then we'll get up into the Hieratic, because a lot of this stuff you'll see references made to both, and it's just giving you foundation. So when we get to the Hieratic, then all is well. So yeah, we're gonna end up translating and transliterating our own measure, but we got to become familiar with what we're looking at. So Islam, Moors, we love you, peace, love, and law at all costs. Islamism without the schism. And it's been a grand measure. And let us call forth our national grand sheik before we go out. Islam, are you there, grand man? Dr. Serapis Amin Raya.
Islam, we said Islam, praise Allah, everything that Allah has created, including man, including our prophet, Abu Ali, who was sent as our redeemer. And we just give honors to everything that is, was, and ever more to be, especially to you, God, man, and this illustrious teaching that we always be subjected to, in the sense that it gives one they say that wisdom of understanding, bringing forth the inner depths of what we call the mind. And it ain't strange that you carried it that far, because we had a sort of like a vision about those letters, and we didn't understand it at the time that it was given to us. That's why we spoke about it on the class, and you're giving us a drawing today about it. But the prophet, if I can use this terminology, the way the prophet did it, I'm not going to say he didn't know, because he had to know, but as far as a foreign language or the different grasp from the language, he had a special, what do you call them, interpreter. And that one lay there and supposed to have been sort of like renowned in being able to sit in them circles and demonstrate that what you have done or what you're doing here is that you done or you are compiling. I want to use the word multiplying. That's what I want to look at. Multiplying the science of having that distinct language or formula to open up all those doors that had been closed to us over these last 400 something years, and bringing forth today is not a hidden knowledge, it was a forbidden knowledge. And when you talk about one being going inside and knocking at that door and not realizing whose door you're knocking on. And you might bring the wrong one out the door, and that wouldn't be with you for the rest of your life. So that's why I appreciate the sheik saying you got to be careful about what you ask for. Because what you ask for, you may not want. So you got to be very careful about that. And another thing that is very key, what the sheik was saying, is our ability to make these things applicable to us in our daily walk of life. And we try to every time we get ready to go to study this demonstration, we distracted. And our Grand National Secretary of State gave us the key to stop that distraction from coming on the manifest, and to shut that whole demonstration down, where one don't have nothing but the magic, the matter at hand right in front of them, and nothing on the outside or around the corner or down the street or up the hill will be able to stop one. So, and I think it's called centralized focus. And when you put that centralized focus down, there's no one but you and the one that came to this earth with you in that circle, and this one is breathing that breath on you, and you're being able to take that breath and because you know you're talking about a sweet breath, and by one put that breath out there in the ether, because constantly breathing. But the thing is that we've been taught to breathe the wrong things. And this is what I thought you were saying in the context of us being a people adept in our ability to go beyond this realm and bring back things that we may not want to be regretful that we brought back. And so this is a very, very powerful class, because it's taking us in the godlike atmosphere where we talk about it's beyond meta. We talking about the God consciousness, being able to, or not the God consciousness, but what was the God what? God particle. Is that what it?
Yes, sir. The God code.
God code. And
Islam.
we live by the code, don't we, Mo?
That's right. Islam.
We live by the code, and I think for it to be very powerful, we have to take it serious, and not so much like we do, or I do, cast it to the side. We'll get it tomorrow. We'll get it the next day. You keep saying that, you never will get it, because you're always gonna find. But something's going on with us today that opened up another door. Remember we talking about some doors that we step in and we don't know what's on the other side. We're going on faith that we're not going to be harmed. But you can't speak on that if you haven't let your higher self know, or that one will know that you come. He know where if you come to visit, and he knows that them ones is sitting on the outside at that door waiting on you to come. So you got to come empty, not so much having what you call it, a profound knowledge of understanding, but come as a child, you see, and be humble and not meek, but not weak. Have an understanding about placing your hands or heart or mind in the hands and heart of our Father. This is why one takes a universal prayer and takes it inside him, and it becomes his way, or we call it the passage of being able to channel those the forces that the Sheik was talking about that are really spinning. Like the Sheik was talking about, they make movies about this, but it goes beyond what we've seen on the movie, because the theatrics of it is really unfolding in our various social. Thank you, Sheik. Appreciate you.
In Islam, we give honors to you, Sheik, for that grand drawing, and praise be to Allah for everything you manifested. That's a grand drawing in and of itself. And we know that sound, produces vibration, and just like when the great God Allah said, let there be, being it is, in the form of sound, kun fayakun, so to speak. A lot of people think that he just kept saying it, but really it reverberated, so to speak, or vibrated all the way up until now, and it's still vibrating. That's why we still seeing new life come on the manifest, you know, from the aquatic levels, you know, new clusters of universes and stars and multiverses and everything else, because creation is still occurring. It has never stopped. They told you he rested on the seventh day. They don't know what they were talking about. You know what I mean? In all actuality, he kept creating. He's still creating. And that's why the process of us unfolding continues to grow. And we adapt, you know, as creation unfolds. So as the creation go to a high vibration, when we adapt to that, we become higher in high vibration. You know, and creation adapts to us. That's why we said man was originally put here to be the Lord of the plane of soul, plane of thing made manifest, but when he fell, creation fell with him. We could see, you know, our family getting that drawing, you know, last night, you know, when we were building. We give praises to the great God Allah for that grand measure brought forth from our father's treasures. So I want to give a grand drawing right here, and let our family get this as we go out. And this is how we'll close out, because I told our Moorish kin we would share this with them. Islam. Okay. All right, you see that more?
Islam.
Okay, this is what we're showing you what vibration does. Islam. So when you look at all of that, Moorish kin, you can actually see, and they call it sonic geometry. You know, you can actually see, let me get this off of here. You can actually see, family, where vibration forms geometric shapes. If you know anything about chakra charts, if you ever seen chakra charts, that should have came to mind. Notice it started with the 4 quadrants though. You know, that surround the circle 7, that surround our flag, that surround our seals and emblems. And notice the way that these particular pieces of sand were vibrating, that they were vibrating as the ethers vibrate. You see? And that's what I'm saying when I say you have things moving around you in the same measure. So when you see certain constellations out there in the air, in the universe, in their shapes and forms, all of this came from vibration in the word and sound that caused these things to be out there that way. You see, where you can see the Kafesh out there, where you can see, you know, the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, you know, all these 12 signs and so forth and so on. You know, so what we're doing, we're bringing things that we are familiar with and bringing them into practicality where you can actually see how these things manifest. And it all has to do with, you know, what our sheep was talking about just then. You know, when it talk about the God code, you know, so that's sacred geometry, but we give honors to your family in relation to dealing with these things, because we're going to get to that special level as well when it comes to dealing with the knowledge. So I just want to say gratitude, peace, love, and law at all costs. We love you, Islamism without the schism. And man, this was Moorish as ever. Praise be to Allah. Islam. All right, Sister Curta Bay. Take us in the third heaven. We love you, Moors.
Islam, you want me to close? You want me to close out?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Islam.
Okay, Islam. Hold on 1 second. All righty. Okay. Islam, Islam, Islam. January 15, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings toward the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Jew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by the order of Prophet Noble Jew Ali. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breasts of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortune of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam, Islam, Islam. This meeting is officially adjourned according to Act 2. Go in peace, Moors. Islam. Great class, great class. Islam, family.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Grand message.
Peace
Grand
and
message.
love, family.
Islam, Moors, grand measure, grand
Islam.
research, family, grand research.
Grand
Grand class,
Love you,
grand.
Peace and love. Gratitude.
Come on, King.
Love you.
Islam.
Love you,
Gratitude.
Moors.
Hey, Dr. Shabazz,
Yes, sir. Islam, grand man. You there, brother Bati Babe? We can't hear you if you're speaking.
Islam.
There you go.
Can't find two books, and one is that Aliism, and the other one is that Sacred Geometry. Why can't those? Do you know a source that you can get those order those books at?
Nah, I sent that to you directly in the PDF. It's probably out of print because that's real old, grand man. You may be able to find it out there.
I tried.
But, you know, that's like from the 1930s. But the book Sacred Geometry, I don't know, you might be able to find it. You know, I know you can probably find PDFs on it, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Some of them out of print.
That's the one by Mustafa Gadala. It won't even. I can only get it on Scribe. I can't get it nowhere else.
Oh yeah, yeah. You probably have to just look, you know, online. It may not be in print, ain't no telling. But I'm pretty sure Amazon or somebody may have it.
No, Amazon. I looked on Amazon. Amazon ain't got it. That's why
they don't got it.
No, that's why I was asking.
I would say probably keep trying to look for it until it resurfaces.
Islam. Gratitude for that.
Yes, sir.
Peace
But,
and love,
Islam.
family.
If I find it, I'll let you know.
All right.
Yes, sir. Islamism, grand man. But you got the Aliism PDF, right?
Yeah, I got the PDF. I was just trying to find the, I listen to the books and then I buy them and put them in my library.
Oh yeah, you definitely probably ain't gonna find that Aliism PDF on the other measure. But yeah, you probably have to print it out in a booklet form yourself. Mashallah.
Islam.
Yeah, Islam. All right, grand man. We love your family. And,
all right, peace and love, y'all.
Peace and love.
Gratitude.
Love
Gratitude, family.
See you in
Love
Sunday school.
Islam.
See you in Sunday school.
That's right.
yeah, Islam.
Sunday school.